Welcome everyone to Last Song Standing. I'm Cole Cuchna.
And I'm Charles Holmes. And in this fourth season of Last Song Standing, Cole and I are debating our way through some of the best albums of the past 25 years in order to crown the greatest album of the 21st century so far, aka The Last Album Standing.
Last episode, extremely contentious.
Would you say more contentious than Blueprint versus Lemonade?
Well, it would have been, but we copped out. It was our first ever stalemate. I had Radiohead's Kid A, you had Daft Punk Discovery, both phenomenal albums. However, we do have a tiebreaker for today, unless you are ready to do the right thing and just concede that Radiohead Kid A is the right album.
I will just say we have a surprise later. And if it goes the way I'm expecting it to go, I'm going to have a very, very long monologue about the problem with music criticism and rock centrality to music criticism at the cost of other genres that I would argue are more important to the story of the 21st century.
You sound very defensive.
It's
already.
I'll just put it to you this way. You didn't go to the streets. That's all I'll say.
Okay.
Or to dance.
All right. Let's not belabor it, but I'm feeling pretty good about the season. I mean, Discovery, Kid A, they're both winners. So we're gonna have one of those albums. We have Eminem, Marshall Mathers LP. We have Beyonce's Lemonade and
My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy.
It feels like a good list so far.
It feels like a good list, but I will also say now that like these episodes are starting to roll out, people are catching on. They're just like, hey, yo, how could you put Igor against Eminem? Blah, 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 blah. And part of me wants to be like to everyone. Like this process was just as hard for us as it was. Like, I don't think you guys actually realize we've had arguments about what albums to pair with each other.
Yeah, it's harder than you think. Today's episode, though, I feel like is like a perfect pairing.
Yes.
And we're honoring a part of a certain subgenre of hip hop that it's very near and dear to my heart. So why don't we read the rules real fast?
All right.
And then we'll get into the album picks. So just as a reminder, every episode, Charles and I each nominate one album we think should be in contention for the 21st century's best. Each album gets its own half of the episode where we'll make a case for why that album is one of the best in the last 25 years. Then at the end of the episode, the two albums will go head to head and Charles and I will debate until we can agree on one winner.
The winning album from each episode advances to the season finale Royal Rumble. That's where Cole and I will face off one last time, eliminating albums one by one until we can crown the greatest album of the 21st century, aka The Last Album Standing. Actually, I could have asked Kev just to do that in post, to make it more dramatic.
Yeah, he'll do it. He'll work his magic.
But Cole, now that that's out of the way, what albums are we nominating for today's episode?
I'm going with unarguable classic, Madvillainy, MF Doom, Madlib, Madvillainy. Just a fucking phenomenal album.
And I'm going with Clipse's Hell Hath No Fury. But before we get to that, how did you end up with Madvillainy? At first, I was gonna do Madvillainy, but we kept kind of like, we're just like, because Madvillainy is an album that looms so large over hip hop, and I think after Doom's tragic passing, rest in peace to Doom, I think it has just grown in stature.
Yeah.
So we were actually like searching
for the perfect pairing, and something that could hold its weight against Madvillainy.
And a lot of people might call this recency bias. We kind of went through a bunch of albums, and it wasn't until we got to the Clipse where I was like, this makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, full transparency, this Madvillainy was going to go against 50 Cent for a long time.
Yeah.
That was kind of our plan because that tells its own story in terms of the direction of hip hop. But I feel like we've honored like with Eminem, with Jay-Z, we've kind of honored that side of hip hop, especially during the early 2000s. So this pairing to me honors that kind of underground. It's hard to call it underground because these guys are so popular, but a side of hip hop that we haven't actually got to talk about, and we'll be able to talk about it all episode, which I'm very excited about because this is kind of where this is the hip hop that I just love.
Well, actually, why I think this episode makes a lot of sense, like thematically, to your point, is when you think of Doom and you think of Clipse, especially in the last couple years, because they're such big figures at this point, and because they're so iconic, I think people forget that in the early 2000s, especially. Clipse was left for dead. Doom was left for dead. Even when these albums were released, Madvillainy didn't sell gangbusters.
Yeah.
Neither did Hell Hath No Fury. But it tells the story of I think a different type of hip hop starting to have platforms where, to me, these are both very Pitchfork era albums, where the critics of that time were like, no, these two underground or underground-esque artists are exactly what we want to celebrate about music. And I think what we both might be talking about is how weirdly influential both of like Doom and Clipse especially just became, where I can't think of like, when you think of Earl, when you think of Tyler, when you think of good music, when you think of everything that happened, like West Coast, just everything, you're just like, oh, it is in these albums. Yeah,
it's similar to the Kid A Discovery conversation we have in terms of influence. And I think if we're looking at the century historically, we talked about, in our opening episode this season, we are focusing a lot on hip hop because hip hop is the prominent genre of the century. And just like rock music in the 20th century, as it grew, as the genre became kind of the most dominant genre in popular music, you start to see within the genre things splintering. And so you start to get subgenres. And the same thing is, to me, the early 2000s, where we start to see that split where as there's becomes a more commercial, of course there's kind of always been there, but as hip hop grew, it just gave more space for the Clipse of the world, for the Dooms of the world, because there was an audience to fulfill each of these subgenres. And then you have subgenres within subgenres. And so, you can't have that. You can't have those kind of subgenres without the overall genre of hip hop becoming so enormous.
And I would also say both of these, in the same way that Kid A and Discovery are coming out at a time where the internet is like in its infancy, and you can't tell the story of those albums without the internet. Madvillainy very famously leaked, and it almost grew. This was an album that was not necessarily supposed to save Stone's Throw. This was not the album that they were like, this is going to be the one. And we might talk about the history of that. But like fans heard the leak, and it like slowly builds. And I think same thing with Clipse, where it's like, we are going to talk about them getting all of their label woes and label dramas, and with their mixtape series and just pounding the pavement, they became both of these artists became very hipster, as the Clipse called them, Clipsters.
Right.
This is a certain type of fan, especially white suburban fan, that was always there for hip hop, but I think the internet just blows it out of the water. To wrap it up, I think that's why this pairing to me is going to be so fun, because it is telling two sides of the same coin of hipster rap in the early 2000s.
All right, we're ready to get into first album. We go on Madvillain first.
Yes.
All right, so Madvillainy comes out on March 23rd, 2004. Two official singles, I guess you could call them singles, Money Folder and All Caps. First week sales are unknown. Where it lacks in like Grammy Awards and first week sales, we already touched on. Critical reception of this thing was pretty much universal in terms of acclaim. It has a 93 on Metacritic. It's top 5, top 10 on like every greatest hip hop album of all time list.
Yep.
To kind of continue the conversation, it did remind me like returning to the build up of the album, the release of the album, and reading about that. It reminded me of Discovery a little bit, because in the same way like Discovery was a slow burn, phenomenal album that was recognized in its time, but would just continue to grow in terms of like revere. Madvillainy feels similar in terms of like people like Justin probably like loved it on day one, but as Doom grew, as he paired with Cartoon Network and the iconography of Doom just continued to grow, we had this like anchoring album to his career. So anyone that discovered Doom in like 2006, 2007, 2008, they would have Madvillainy to listen to and be like, okay, fuck, this guy is just phenomenal. In the same way, if you discovered Daft Punk after Kanye West, you had this body of work in Discovery that it just anchors their entire career.
And I also think what we're speaking to is that it was the children that grew up on Doom that I think the Mikes of the world, Odd Future, Mac Miller, I think you got a lot of artists from all across the country that this album meant a lot to them. And that's how I think a lot of kids even younger than us start, like, Madvillainy becomes an Urban Outfitters.
Right.
It becomes a poster that it was already that, but think about how crazy it is in 2025. Madvillainy is streaming more and is listened to more today. I think it's increased in streams. Spotify at one point did a thing where it was just like in 2023,
it's like 75% each year over year increase. Something like that.
It's just insanity that like does not happen. And for an artist as weird as Doom, for it to happen for him is something I never could have predicted, if I'm going to be 100% honest, because I was a Doom kid. I fell in love with him because of the Adult Swim album.
Right.
And then I was just like, I had like cousins and everybody be like, nah, Adult Swim school, but like Madvillainy, food. Right. And that was when I was like, oh, this, hell yeah.
Yeah. Justin, do you have anything you wanted to say up front about it before we get into trivia?
I mean, you're right. I had been listening to Doom for a while at that point, right? Like I had Operation Doomsday. This was the year after Vaudeville Villain, the Victor Vaughn record came out, which I absolutely loved. But it was cool because Madlib had put out a bunch of, I mean, this was like the biggest Madlib record to that point too. And I think we talk about the doom of it all, but I'm sure you guys are going to get into it. Madlib is on the list, maybe the medium length list of best rap producers ever.
Right.
And this is kind of his magnum opus in a lot of ways. So, it was a kind of a crazy pairing that didn't necessarily make sense if you were familiar with both of those artists up to that point. But when you heard it, it was, there's a reason we're discussing it 21 years later on this episode.
Yeah.
And I think even at the time, I think Madlib was a little bit out on hip hop. Like this wasn't, Jeff Weiss has a really, really amazing piece in Pitchfork where it tells the story of this album, but it's also telling the story of Stone's Throw, Madlib, and he was making jazz records. It wasn't like I think he said the two people that he wanted to work with were Doom and Jay Dilla.
Yeah.
And the Dilla record was the one that I think the label was actually counting on because at that point they had no money and it was the leak and it was a lot of things that happened that ended up making Madvillainy the one that actually becomes the record that helps save them.
Yeah, because he put out Champion Sound with Jay Dilla a few years before that. And I think it's like there's something to be interesting to say about what you guys said about what an artist's death can really like do to these records, because that Dilla record kind of went like underground heads loved it, but it didn't really blow up, right? It wasn't like this huge thing. A lot of the Dilla stuff blew up a couple years later after his unfortunate passing. I think this record was beloved from day one, but I think it's only really increased in its acclaim in the past 5 years since Word of Doom's death came out.
Were you disappointed when, like, were you someone who was listening to the leak and when he re-recorded all the vocals, you're like, nah?
No. The only track, and I'm wrong about this now, but it's just one of those things you get used to hearing. And you can actually A/B test now because the leak, the demos are on Spotify now. But the only track was Figaro. I really liked the sped up Figaro.
Yeah.
And I got used to listening that from the whatever I downloaded, MP3s I downloaded off of Kazaa or LimeWire or whatever. And I just I burned that on CD. I listened to that a bunch. And then when the record came out, I'm like, I don't like this slowed down. But like now I listen 20 years later, I'm like, no, that was the right decision to slow that down.
Hell yeah.
Ready for some album trivia?
We are. Trivia. Here's the thing. You did a season on this. I tried to keep them fair, but they might be easy. I have 3 for you today.
3, okay. I got 3 for you actually today. So, and let's read the rules because we forgot to do that last time. And I took a tally of the score so far. So
all right.
Update. Okay, so the rules of album trivia. Charles and I attempt to stump each other with little known facts about the album. Every correct answer is 1 point, and whoever has the most total points at the end of the season wins a mystery prize selected by our producer, Justin. The total so far You are in the lead. You have 4 points. I have 3 points.
Ooh.
So
For the entire season?
yeah.
You guys got to study.
Whoa! I've been getting a lot of questions right.
Yeah.
This is the
been
fourth
doing-
episode?
Yeah, this is episode 5.
Episode 5?
Yeah.
What? That's like a point an episode?
Yeah, and I struggled in the beginning, and you also made them very hard in the beginning. So
These to me are very easy.
okay,
You have to get both of these right. There's no half points for this question.
but there's 2.
We're not doing
answers.
half points.
Okay,
How much was the budget for Madvillainy? And what was Doom's advance?
his advance was $1,500.
Yes.
When he apparently there's some kind of argument with the manager when they first got to LA. The
Yes.
famous story where the owner of Stone's Throw was trying to keep the Doom's manager in the
Like
hotel
in
room.
one corner, so him and Madlib
Could
could be
collaborate.
smoking weed and listening to beats. And he's
Yeah.
like, the longer I could keep like Doom's person away from him, because they didn't have the money. At this
Yeah.
point, like Stone's Throw was
Yeah.
about to go the way of like Fondulum, where it was just like they
Right.
were, I think they were in like a house. They didn't even have an office. It was just like a house where a bunch of them stayed.
Yeah.
So you got half of it, but to get the full point, I need what was the actual budget?
I don't know the actual budget. I'm gonna guess 10,000.
Really close. It was 13,000.
I get a half point at least.
No. You would know half points. We're not doing half points. And that was easy.
Justin, do I deserve a half point or
He
no?
deserves a half point.
No,
I think
we're
so.
not doing half points.
I gave you a half point last episode.
Yeah, but I've been robbed 2 episodes in a row. So we're not doing half points. That's bitch made shit. Wrong. All right, I have another question. All right. This is easy, but it's also a 2-parter. What 2
You
albums?
keep saying it's easy, but there's 2.
What
Okay,
2
go.
albums inspired Jeff Jenks' cover for Madvillainy?
Madonna for
Madonna's
sure.
1993 self-titled.
And is it the King Crimson album?
I need the name.
I need the album name too?
Yes.
I don't know.
It's in the court of the King Crimson.
Yes.
What's a
Can I give that to Cole?
No. What? God. No. No. We are locking in for the rest of the season. Actually, I will say you get that. That is a point. I'm
Okay.
being mean.
Okay.
That is a point.
All right,
I'm
all
not
right,
giving
all
you a half point,
Okay.
but that is 1 point on the board.
I'll take it. Okay, question 3.
Which Madvillainy contributor ended up becoming Doom and Madlib's lawyer for a time?
Stacey Epps?
Another point on the fucking board.
Yes.
Another fucking point on the board. Good job. See, wait, why were you begging for a half point? You got 2 points on the board.
Because I'm happy. I'm not arguing. 2 points, baby. I'm in the lead.
All right, so now that album trivia is out of the way, you got 2 on the board. We're going to the categories. For those that have forgotten, for this season of Last Song Standing, we have 5 categories to decide which album is the best. Biggest song, best song, worst song, best deep cut, and best moment. And at the end of the episode, these 5 categories will go head to head to determine which album we will bring in to the season finale Royal Rumble.
I'm so excited. Biggest song, first category, all caps.
Wait, is this technically
Yeah.
the biggest song?
Justin, I thought this was obvious. All caps is the biggest song, right?
It's the first single. It has that legendary video, and it has the most streams.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't check the streams. I would assume Accordion had more streams than this.
Oh no, Accordion is not as popular as you. I mean, it's one of the more popular ones, but to give the comparison, All Caps has 214 million streams on Spotify. Accordion has 100 million.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay. I love All Caps. Yo, start us off.
I mean, hard to know. I'm going to do a lot of beat breakdown because we got to honor Madlib.
Hell
So
yeah.
I'm going to do a little beat breakdown in a second. But I feel like this is just, we talked a lot about Eminem and like what makes Eminem great in terms of like what kind of production we think works well with him. It's because, we talked about, we liked Eminem over production that was a little quirky because it kind of offsets some of the seriousness that he can kind of dip into a little bit too much. If you have a serious beat and he's really angry, it's just a little too much. And I feel like in the similar way, there's a really odd juxtaposition between Doom's naturally low baritone growly voice and production like All Caps, where it's quirky. It's literally coming from crime shows from the 70s, fictional crime shows from the 70s. The samples are, the production is sampling those. And that just creates this just really interesting dichotomy of this baritone grumbly guy rapping over cartoon music, essentially. And I think All Caps is like maybe the most extreme example of that on Madvillainy, but of course Doom's doing similar things on his solo records that he produces himself. And I think All Caps speaks to what makes Madvillainy so special is that both Madlib and Doom know how to approach production like this, which is like 9 out of 10 rappers or more would just like not know how to rap over a beat like this.
Yeah.
And yet Doom is it just flows so perfectly together. I'm assuming that you are a fan of All Caps.
Who isn't?
Yeah.
It is, not only is the rapping so good on this, but to your point, what I love about this project, what I love about this song is that Doom is such a performer. And I think what Madvillainy does is it crystallizes the image, where obviously you got Operation Doomsday, Food, all of these other things. But I think the cover, it not being drawn, it being him straight on black and white, you seeing this, you're just like, oh, this isn't a gimmick, this is clicking.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there is a moment where he raps, the beat is so butter, peep the slow cutter, as he utter the calm flow, don't talk about his moms, yo. Sometimes you rhyme quick, sometimes you rhyme slow, or vice versa, whip up a slice of nice verse pie. He's like literally in that moment breaking down in a couple bars what makes him special as a rapper. And you're like, well, that's super easy to do. But I'm like, but when you listen to him, it's so fucking weird. You're just like, where is he catching the beat? And there's internal rhymes. Yeah. And there's also, to your point, the Madlib beat in the background is coming from all of these areas. But it's two things. It's purposeful, but it never feels overbaked. It never feels overthought. I was reading a double XL interview that Doom was doing, and he was like talking about these records and talking about his best verses. And it's so funny where he talks about them as like, oh, that was just a freestyle. It just came, like, this was a freestyle, or this thing just came to me. It's not actually not. He was talking about All Caps and what it meant. And it was so interesting, him being like, oh no, like I was just thinking about like, well, one day it's not going to be All Caps, but like I would like, he's like, I would like it to be. And I was like, oh, we think of this as like, you'd be like, yo, All Caps when you say the name. As fans, we're like, no, yes. And to him, he's like, oh, no, it just sounded cool.
Yeah. I mean, that's it's another point that why these guys worked so well together, because they're like not perfectionists, but they make perfect music.
They're intentional,
but not perfectionists, and they move fucking quickly. And they're not belaboring. They're not obsessing over every detail. It's like once the song's like, Madlib famously doesn't return to beats. He'll make the loop, and it is what it is. Once it's recorded and on a beat CD, like he doesn't fucking go back, and he won't remember what he's sampled from. You know, it's like, and I feel like Doom is the same way, especially on this album in terms of like, okay, here's the 1 minute song. I'm not overthinking this. I'm gonna write my verse. I'm gonna record the verse, and we're moving on. Yeah. And it's like, what I love about Madvillainy and this song, there's no hooks. You forget that this album has 0 hooks because everything is catchy. The beats are catchy. The way he rhymes are catchy. There's little, to your point about Eminem, there's micro hooks like the All Caps moment. There's a few micro hooks on this, or like we think of the Figaro, the Figaro. He has all these little quirky, memorable moments, but there's no hooks on the entire album.
To your point, when I was on Genius, because like I always like to just like read the lyrics before we get on here, I was like, wait, well, where's the hook? And then I was just like, I remembered, I'm like, no, Charles, you think that the beat is the hook. Like, which is like a weird thing. Like, right. I sound like an idiot saying that out loud. But I'm like, no, I've internalized this record as like, Madlib is providing such a sonic bed for these very like, the rhymes seem incoherent. They are not. If you actually like look at them structurally, they are some of the best well-structured rapping you will ever see. Yeah. But because he's so lackadaisical and the beats have so many different, like this cartoon, this evil cartoon, this fucking like weird Brazilian sample, this thing, you're just like, oh no, yeah, there's hooks all over this shit. And there's just not.
Yeah. Okay, so let's do our first beat breakdown of the episode. This is one of my favorite beats ever. It's so cool. So the drums come from a sample from a song called Bumpin' Bus by Thunder and Lightning, 1974. And Madlib finds just this like one measure of drums that don't have any other instruments, and he creates a loop out of it. So here's the original sample.
Get down with the bus stop.
So just that little part that has no instruments, he identifies that and then creates a loop out of it. Add some EQ and stuff, and you get this loop. So it's like, I just find that stuff cool because, like, he's crate digging, he's listening to vinyls, and it's like, it's so, like, he must be listening to just like vinyls all day long.
Yeah. And
to have the ear to hear.
Get down with the bus stop.
That, it's like half a second.
Yep.
And be like, oh shit, there's no, like that's a loop. I can grab that, and then grabs it. And then we have all the music from All Caps comes from an episode of Ironside. Ironside was a 70s crime drama, essentially. And so he must have been watching it on a TV because there's the actual sounds of the episode are in it. It's not like he got a soundtrack on vinyl or anything.
Yeah.
Because you can hear the talking. We're going to hear a car going by. So let me just play the original sample where all the music from All Caps comes from. Okay. So did you hear all the little bits in there? And so what's cool is that, like, all the piano and those quirky hits are all like right next to each other. And that swelling sound that I was pointing to, that's a car driving by in the episode, right? But it sounds like an instrument, like swelling up. So it really works to the effect of the beat. So he grabs this sample for the piano and then loops it. So good. And then grabs this sample for the main melody. And then when he put it over the drums, it's fucking just magic. Something I'm going to be pointing out on a lot of the songs is, this is the underrated part about Madlib, especially on this album. He is so good at setting up a song one way in terms of, like, we hear this piano first, right? And it presents to us that's super dark and grimy, right? And so the last thing we're going to expect as he's laying the tone of the track in the intro is it to switch to this. And what they do 9 times out of the 10 on the album, if you listen for this throughout the entire album, listen for the setup of the song where usually Doom is not rapping. And the moment the beat switches is when Doom comes in. Yeah. So it makes this kind of grand entrance for Doom, and it makes his entrance always so impactful. He does the same thing on Figaro and Meat Grinder we'll talk about. But it's like he's like a good producer. He's setting up Doom, like he's enhancing Doom's raps with the production through contrast like that, which is just so cool.
Hell yeah.
First beat breakdown. Are you impressed? You like this kind of stuff? This is stuff I fucking love.
This is actually, when we were planning the episodes, I didn't think that this wasn't something I was expecting, but like I also like this coming after like Daft Punk and Radiohead because it is teaching you another way to sample. Right. And this is when I'm becoming as a child more interested in the art of it. And it's, to me, what's so funny is like there's the RZA way of sampling and the stuff he's growing up in New York, which is like these Kung Fu Shaw Brothers movies. But you have like Timbaland, who is going and using like fucking Bollywood samples. Right. And it's just like, it's this interesting thing where it's like, oh, you have Madlib on the West Coast, you have RZA on the East Coast, you have people in Virginia, and you have Daft Punk in France. And all of this is kind of happening
at the same time.
90s, 2000s of just like, the technology is getting better, so the crate digging is getting more and more complex. Yeah. And I just love listening to this record because it's like you have British TV shows, you have some of the lyrics are bringing up Hanna-Barbera cartoons, but then there's Hanna-Barbera fucking samples. It's just like, there are parts every single time I listen to these songs where I hear shit that I'm like, oh, fuck, that's the first time I'm hearing.
Yeah. And then you already kind of pointed to it, but the rapping on this is like so good. Just even the opening lines, so nasty that it's probably somewhat of a travesty having me. Then he told the people, you can call me your majesty. So it's just internal after internal. And it's just like, he does it so effortlessly where it doesn't feel like lyrical miracle. And there's a quirkiness and an abstractness and like a surrealism to his lyrics always, where you're just like, what did he say? Is he just speaking gibberish? And then like I did a season on this and it's like, no, there's themes. There's center. He's not just rapping to rhyme.
And that's why I think a lot of people who try to emulate Doom fail. Because I'm like, if he wasn't a great performer and he wasn't entertaining and he wasn't choosing the correct beats, all of this would just be fucking mush.
Right.
But because every single element works and elevates him, that's why I think Madvillainy is the one people were like, because it's the moment where it's like, it might not be your favorite Doom record, but I feel like it was the moment where Doom and Madlib especially was just like, we are going to show you everything that actually makes him a genius, just in case y'all like weren't fucking tapped.
Yeah. All right. So anything else you want to move on? Best song?
Very, very interested in where you're going to go for best. Like, I'm so interested because there's one correct choice, and if you don't pick it,
there's one correct choice?
Yes.
Justin,
even though it is very...
Justin, do you have a best song on this? It was hard.
It's really hard. Yeah. It's really hard.
It's really hard. But
you just said there's one correct choice, and it's really hard.
No. Charles. It's similar to, like, there's a couple choices on Hell Have No Fury, but there's one you got to do. There's one you have to pick. And if you don't pick it, I'm going to be mad.
Cole, what was it?
Shout out Accordion.
Damn, I know where you're going.
It has to be Meat Grinder.
It has to be Meat Grinder.
That was your pick?
It was not. Accordion's my pick. Meat Grinder is close.
Meat Grinder is... The rapping on Meat Grinder is fucking phenomenal.
It's the best rapping of his career, possibly.
It really is. It's so good.
Meat Grinder is really good.
It's really good. It was tough though. Shout out Accordion. We could talk about Accordion, but I had.
Why'd you go with Meat Grinder?
I guess two reasons. One's because I was debating. These were the two that I was debating, and it came down to when I reminded myself what he's doing lyrically. I'm going to do a little breakdown of just how much he's rhyming on the song. So just like to Justin's point, some of the best rapping he's ever done, arguably maybe his best. And then the beat itself is just so fucking weird. Where Accordion, it's of the beats on it might be my favorite beat on there, but it's like of the beats on Madvillain, it's kind of the most traditional.
Yes.
Where Meat Grinder to me just shows a little bit more what makes this album click, what makes it special, what makes it unique. Because who else is grabbing a sample from Mothers of Invention, a Frank Zappa band, then juxtaposing against like the song called Hula Rock. I could do the beat breakdown, but it was just like arguably Madlib's most inventive beat paired with arguably Doom's best rapping.
I mean, tripping off the beat, kind of drifting off the meat, grind of heat, not a pippin, stripping, soft, sweet, minor, easy.
So
fucking insane.
And it
is everything I love about rap.
And it sounds good. It's like, what is he saying? I don't know.
But also like when I just rap that, it's just like, but I'm just like, you're going to break down these lyrics. The internal rhyme of just like in this rhyming, tripping with dripping, but then he's forcing the kinda grinder, nina. Like, it's just, you're just like, what? And it's just what I love about Doom. This is how I could tell he's such a great rapper, is that a lot of rappers who would do this, and like as we get into the 21st century and the very hashtag flow, so much of rap, Lil Wayne was at the spearhead of this, was pointing to how clever you were.
Right.
Where Doom never does that. He'll just let
even when he's doing rappy stuff, like it never feels gross.
No, it's always just like, no, I'm that good. Why would I have to point to it? Listen, you'll understand.
Yeah, and there's just a poetry to the images, and the just even when you reading it, like half rapping it, it was just like, it just flows. It's like the beat is so butter, and so is his flow. Okay, so let me just do a quick beat breakdown, because I gotta keep honoring Madlib, because this is, to Justin's point, it is a true duo here. So we have the first sample, like I said, which is a Mother Invention song, which I think maybe he saw on a TV ad because it was where I got this sample source was from a TV ad. And so here's just the sample playing. Like that part is like it's so weird, but so good. And then again, another kind of juxtaposition in terms of setting you up in this sonic universe of this Frank Zappa song, and then just switching it to an entirely new thing in this Lou Howard and the All Stars Hula Rock beat sample. So classic Madlib. He doesn't do much to it, just speeds it up, adds some EQ and stuff. But then one of my favorite parts is that there's not much from the Frank Zappa song on the actual beat when we get there, but there is one little sample that he does pull, and it comes at the very end of the TV ad. So let me just play the very end of the TV ad here. Do you recognize that little sound? That's in the song. I don't know.
No, I know it's in the song.
I don't know what it is. It's like when you see the TV ad, we can put it up. I think it's like a pig or something that's making the noise. I don't know if that's the actual pig, but that's what they put on the screen. But so now that you heard it isolated, now hear it in the beat.
But what I also love about Madlib as well is that he doesn't cut. Like other producers would cut the quirky stuff out of the loop, or like they would pick it, but they wouldn't keep that in.
Right.
They'd be like, "This is what the fuck." Like, and he's always, whether it was the car sound where he's listening to stuff, he's like, "No, this is why I'm taking this part of it." Like it, and what a lot of times when people listen to this album, they might call it like, "Oh, dusty," or just kind of just like what is. It's hard to describe the texture, but to me, I'm just like the beats are so good because they're as textured as Doom's rapping. They're as weird, where it's like sometimes you're just like, wait, what the fuck did Doom just say? Yeah. And with the beats, that point where it's like,
what did I just hear?
Wait, what was that? Like, I have never done the thing that you did where it's just like, wait, what's that? It was just, I'm like, this is a weird fucking part of the beats, man. I don't know.
Okay, then let me just go over some stats about the rhyming, because to your point about the opening song or the opening lyric, it's like essentially almost every single syllable in this song rhymes. So when I did the episode on this, I actually counted the syllables and then found how many rhyme. There's a total of 350 syllables in the song. 318 out of those 350 rhyme. That's 91% of his verse rhymes. Syllables in the verse rhyme, which is like, isn't that like, it's crazy? And I just have to point out my favorite moment in the song, where he says, "Hatuing songs lit in the booth with the best host, doing bong hits on the roof in the West Coast." So, but he actually makes, instead of saying spitting songs like I'm spitting, I'm rhyming. Yeah, he actually does the hatuing sound.
Yeah,
which is like he does that multiple times. We'll talk about the snot bubble pop. It's just like only Doom is doing this stuff, and then of course like the whole thing rhymes. And I love that it's described. So this was, I think, the first song that they wrote together was Meat Grinder. I think I'm remembering.
I do believe that's correct.
And so it's cool. This line I like about this line is that he's talking about him and Madlib. Hatuing songs lit in the booth with the best host, referring to Madlib, doing bong hits on the roof in the West Coast, referring to the rooftop. There's pictures of them hanging out with an actual bong on this rooftop on the West Coast in LA. And then he says, he's at it again, mad at the pen, which is again saying mad at the pen, pointing to Madlib. It's like so cool. I love this fucking song. Are you mad that I didn't pick accordion?
No. I think that this is like a great pick. The reason why, like, as a writer, I think accordion is the song to me is to me, accordion is a top 10 hip hop song of all time. One of my favorite openings, if not my favorite opening line of all time. Like, it almost makes me cry. Like, it made me cry. Like, I listened to this after he died, when he was like, living off borrowed time, the clock ticks faster, that'd be the hour they knocked the slick black. Like, I remember when we lost Duke, I was like, what? Like, I was just like, oh my God. And I just kept listening to this song. And to me, accordion, there's always been this tragedy under Doom's music, where after he loses his brother, after he's basically not kicked out of the industry, but like his life falls apart. And Accordion to me is when he kind of like centers in on that sad part of his career, because he's like this cartoon villain and food and look at all the crazy stuff he's doing. But there is a level of him trying to come to terms with who he is within this world, and it's not lost on me that he has to, the minute he puts on a mask for the industry is the minute that the industry finally takes him quote unquote seriously. Right. And there's also this line that he says on Accordion, or this whole part of the verse, where know who's the illest like ever, like the greatest story told, keep your glory gold and glitter, for half of these niggas that take him out the picture, the other half is rich and it don't mean shit to villain, a mixture between both with a twist of liquor. What is so funny to me is that there are two Dooms that I know in my mind. There's the Doom that is so hip hop to the core when we think of what the tenets of the culture is. This is someone who was a student of the game, who loves it, who is just like, if Doom was in it for the money, quote unquote, he would have made a lot of different decisions with his career. Yeah. And it's like him basically being like to the industry, like, I see how fast you will sell out the game and this genre that we love. And then there's the villain side of Doom, who is just in it for the money, who is literally just like, I am not coming to LA unless y'all pay me my fucking advance. Like, there is a reason why for years, the thing that people would talk about Doom, that's not Doom up on stage. He took the money, he did it allegedly. Right. There is a part of Doom, like Adult Swim, y'all got to check. Cool, I'm doing a whole album. And there was always artistry in it. But it is funny that like Doom was the person who's just like, look at y'all lame ass motherfuckers just doing anything for a check. And Doom running straight to a check. Justin, am I wilding for saying that there was always that dichotomy to do?
My favorite anecdote, God, this is so funny. It's in the Dilla book, but about Doom always being out for the check, right? It's talking about at Dilla's funeral. This is in Dilla Time by Dan Charnas. Fantastic book. One of my favorite music books of the past 5 years, maybe more. And he's retelling the story about Doom at Dilla's funeral. And he stands up and he goes, I had a dream last night. And I had a dream that I should record over Dilla beats. And also, Dilla came to me in this dream and he told me that I should get the money from this. So it is like, and like, trust me, I know from anecdotes that have been shared from people about just how much Doom was about the money. And, you know, he's obviously loves the craft. He's very good at it. But like, I would say in many cases, that was kind of the 1B to the 1A, and the 1A being the money.
Can't believe you guys are disparaging Doom on this podcast.
We are not. We're being real. All right, can you blow past worse songs? I feel like it's so disrespectful. There are some of the albums that we picked where I'm just like, damn, I got to talk about.
I know. Well, this, at least on this one, it's pretty clear. But Justin, did I make the right call on Meat Grinder? Is that a? Yeah,
it's one of the two, and it's look. There are a lot of good songs on this. Like shout out Fancy Clown, shout out Rhinestone Cowboy, shout
You're
out
not picking
Great
it for
Day,
deep cut,
but like. Right. And I'm sorry. I might be stepping on that. So like,
all right, because I have a deep cut that you're not picking, which is like my favorite.
But yeah, no. Meat Grinder is a perfectly justifiable, great decision, and it might have been mine as well.
Okay, so worst song, Hardcore Hustle. Doom's not even on the song.
Yes, that's an easy.
It's easy. It feels, I don't know. It always feels a little out of place. It's the one flaw of the album, I guess, but.
Also, when you're listening to this album, I'm never just like, oh my god.
It's
an experience. So it's just like,
right. Yeah.
I feel like an asshole, but like, yes, if you pluck this out of the record, I do think it would probably improve it a little bit.
You wouldn't miss it, that's for sure.
Yes.
No disrespect. Okay, so
I know what you're picking for best deep cut.
It's so good.
Can you guess which one I wanted you to pick?
Okay, so I'm gonna pick Figaro. What?
Correct choice. Figaro is the correct, like objectively correct choice, but this is to me the deep cut album. Like this is an album of just like, if you would have picked anything, I would just be like, yeah, because like there's so my favorite deep cuts change. I just like Raid because that's probably one of my favorite beats off of it, just because it's like, oh fucking shit, let's go.
Yeah.
But the rapping on Figaro, like you,
the rapping on Figaro is immaculate. But I love that song. You could pick, how many deep cuts could you pick? Yeah, Rhinestone Cowboy, I love Great Day, Fancy Clown is phenomenal. I even like some of the quirky songs like Operation Lifesaver, The Mint Test.
I like that one too.
Yeah.
But why did you go with Figaro?
It's kind of the same thing with Meat Grinder, because I think both Madlib and Doom, in terms of the beat paired with just what he's doing technically, lyrically, is just showcasing it's just at them in top form, both of them together on one track. So Figaro is again kind of like Meat Grinder in terms of like he's doing hollow rhymes in terms of like, let's just look at the opening line. The rest is empty with no brain, but the clever nerd, the best MC with no chain you ever heard. So 3 simultaneous rhyme schemes, the rest, the best, empty, MC, 4. With no brain, with no chain, the clever nerd you ever heard. So 4 simultaneous rhyme schemes in one couplet. There's 20 total words, 19 of those words rhyme. The only one that doesn't rhyme is the word but. It's just like, so sick. And it's like classic Doom in terms of the rest empty with no brain, calling competition, stupid, and then calls himself the clever nerd, best MC with no chain, setting up this idea of Figaro, the Figaro chain.
Yeah.
And so planting that right away.
But also forgot about the cackalack, hollaback, clack, clack, blocker, villainy, feeling me, your heart shocker, chart topper, start shit stopper, be a smart shopper. What?
Yeah.
Like, come on. No one's doing it.
That's so sick.
Like, he's so good.
Yeah. Okay, so most dissectable moment has to go to the part where he says, this is it, make no mistake, where my N-word go, Figaro, Figaro. He says, O's beats and my rhymes attack, a scary act, all black like Miss Mary Mac. Wait till you see him live on the piano, Doom sings soprano like Uno Dociano. My mama told me. So what's cool about this is that this is again, when you look at it closely, he's doing a lot more than you think. It's not just abstract. There's threads within this. So in this passage alone, there's 3 motifs essentially. The main motif that's on the surface is presenting Madlib and Doom as if they're performing live. That's when he says, O's beats and my rhymes attack, a scary act, all black like Miss Mary Mac. Wait till you see him live on the piano, Doom sings soprano. So we're this live act, this live duo, and we're singing on stage essentially. But then there's a thread of Italian opera. So Figaro, Figaro, the secondary meaning of, aside from the Figaro chain that he lays out in the intro, Figaro, Figaro, that famous aria, Figaro, comes from an Italian opera called The Barber of Seville. And so he takes that thread and he returns to it when he says Doom sings soprano, referring to himself like a soprano opera singer. And Uno Dociano is a play on mic check 1 2 1 2, because Uno Doce, I think that I said that right, is 1 2 in Italian. So when he says Doom sings soprano like Uno Dociano, he is saying it's a play on mic check 1 2 1 2. The third thread is a play on children's hand clapping games. So you remember earlier in the song, he says the flow maker, fatty shake, patty cake, patty cake. So he returns to this hand clapping motif when he says a scary act, all black like Miss Mary Mac. So Miss Mary Mac being a famous hand clapping game in which they say Miss Mary Mac all dressed in black. However, Uno Dociano is also a nod to another hand clapping game, and I can play a little clip of it right here. So super clever, along with mic check 1 2 1 2, and singing in Italian. He's nodding to another hand clapping game. Right after that, he says, "My mama told me," which is another hand clapping game. So it's like just in those like whatever 5-6 lines, he's threading all those layers together. And it's like, it's only till you look that close to see what he's doing, but it's like the details are amazing. And he's internal rhymes and end rhymes. It's just like, this guy is fucking brilliant.
Not to have another clapping game.
You have been dissected?
Come on.
That was an easy one.
That was
I
an
mean,
easy
that's
one.
like, yeah.
But like, I didn't know the Una Dociano clapping game part.
That's a deep cut. That took me a while to find because I read, it wasn't on like Genius. I don't think it was on Genius. I must have read it in like I forgot where I read it, like maybe a forum or something. And then I found that was the clip that I played you from an old Cosby episode was the only recording that I can find. But that makes sense, right? Like,
I will, not only does that make sense, I just have to shout out also one of my favorite couple lyrics that come before this. Off pride tykes talk wide through scar me. Offsides like how Worf rides with Starfleet.
Yeah.
Told you on some get rich shit. As he gets older, he gets colder than a witch tip. What? What? Oh, dog. Offsides like how Worf rides with Starfleet is a bar.
Yeah.
Like it's a fucking bar.
did you catch the Lion King wordplay in the previous one though? Off pride. So pride of, that's what you call a pack of lions. Tykes referring to Simba. And then scar. Yeah. He describes lips as scar meat, which is just like, what?
Who does
that?
I'm so glad you picked this.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Okay. Best moment?
All right. Yeah. Best moment. I'm really, really interested in this.
Maybe Jessica can help me out. I just went with the reinvention of Doom's metal mask because you can, obviously he was playing with the idea of the mask with Doomsday, wearing plastic masks, wrestling mask that he got at toy stores. But
I think the first one he had was the Darth Maul from Phantom Menace. Like he had a Darth Maul Phantom Menace mask
that he spray painted black or silver.
Yeah, it looked terrible, like fucking terrible. You can look up some of these. Not great. And the first couple metal masks weren't the gladiator type shit that we got.
So Madvillainy, I believe, is the cover and all the photos that they took at the bomb shelter are, I believe, the premiere of the metal mask. So, and you can see like an early rendition of it in those pictures. We'll show it on the screen here, but you can see like the white. I think they took it like a construction helmet that that can swivel up and down. Mm-hmm. They took the swivel thing so that he could put the mask up and down, but you can actually see the white swivel guard or whatever it is. Like you can see that where in later versions you can't. So I'm just going with that. I don't know if Justin, did I miss another moment? The leak maybe? I don't know. That was hard.
Yeah, the leak was a moment. I mean, I'm not as up on the mask lore as a lot of people. I listen to music. I don't really pay attention to that. No, but I don't even know if I clocked that in real time. Like I'm like, obviously I recognize that this looks cooler on the cover, but I didn't it wasn't like, oh my God, look at the mask.
Right.
So I don't know, man. I think it's kind of hard to build the biggest moment around this one. So
I think so. Yeah.
Well, it's similar to what we were talking about with Discovery, like, and that you already brought up, where it's like, as much as this project and this album is now considered, I would say for most people, probably like a top 10 rap record of all time. It was not that in the moment. And because it was such a slow build, it wasn't like, oh, yo, right. It was like, no, like it took a while for the normies to get to this record.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, y'all. Not only have I been dissected, but the hero has turned me into a mad villain because after this commercial break, I'm coming back to talk to you about one of the other greatest rap albums to be released in the 21st century. That is Hell Hath No Fury by Clipse.
All right, we are back. Charles, it is time for you to make the case for a very good album. Does it stand a chance against Madvillainy? I'm not sure.
Don't do that. Don't do that because you're adding a little sauce because I was talking some shit off mic.
Hell Hath No Fury. Why Hell Hath No Fury over Lord Willing? Because I know we were really debating this behind the scenes.
My personal pick was Lord Willing.
Okay.
That's the album that I like more. I will talk about this later. I don't want to step on my manifesto.
Okay.
But I have a manifesto.
Okay.
I think that this is the crystallization of a moment for the Clipse, for Neptunes, for culture. And it was like, yes, grinding. I would have loved to talk about grinding.
Right.
That's also, if we're talking about, if there was any songs that could have like gone at like Doom in the best song category, I think Grindin' was one of them. But in terms of influence, in terms of a moment, in terms of just like a fulcrum with which all of hip hop has been orbiting for almost 20 years at this point, it's Hell Hath No Fury. Now, I will start with a little bit of album facts about it before we go into the quiz round. Clipse sophomore album was released on November 28, 2006. The 12-song project features Pharrell, Slim Thug, Ab Liva, and Re-Up Gang with production handled by the Neptunes. The album produced 2 singles, Mr. Me Too and Wamp Wamp. Hell Hath No Fury debuted at number 14 on the Billboard 200. And I was surprised at this. This was not a lot at the time, but they sold 80K in the first week, which is, I was like, oh shit, like that's pretty solid for a group like Clipse.
Yeah.
And at the time, Hell Hath No Fury was one of the most critically acclaimed albums of the 2000s. It got a perfect score by XXL, Observer, Music Monthly, All Music, The Guardian, Pitchfork gave it a 9.1. Rolling Stone gave it a 4 out of 5. I remember when Hell Hath No Fury dropped and the critical just raves that it received. So yes, this is a very celebrated album. If you were not around at this time, this was a moment.
I remember it, and because I lived with two of my buddies, moved out and got this apartment together, and one of them was a huge Pharrell fan, and he got this album the day it dropped, and the Mr. Me Too song, we'd always recite the line, "Sign My First Skater," because we were skateboard kids, like, and he was talking about Terry Kennedy. Wait, did I just burn an album trivia question? Oops.
All right, that's a point for me. That's a point on the board. Technically, that is a point on the board. I want 3 questions. I want a chance to get 3 points.
But that was I mean, that was not just Clipse, but just Pharrell and the Neptunes, like them incorporating skateboarding into their whole image.
Don't step on my moment.
Oh, okay. Sorry. But that was a big deal for me I was a hardcore skater for like 15 years. And like when we saw ourselves kind of represented, quote unquote, when skateboarding kind of became cool, and Pharrell had a big part of that, like that was a big deal for us.
I was there. Do you understand?
Do you skateboard?
How much I tried, and I was like, it was like, this ain't for me. But people don't understand. Bape hoodie, BBC ice creams, I remember seeing the ice cream shoes for the first time in person, and like being to like my parents, I'm like, I need this shit. And they're just like, how much is it? Fuck no.
Yeah.
And they're just like, this is the ugliest. Like, actually, the ice cream shoes are pretty ugly when you look at them now. But I remember just Bape. I was like, I need a Bape hoodie, and I would like be online, like I'm like, how much is it? And my parents would be like, if you don't take your ass to Old fucking Navy, shut the fuck up. Did you have any Bape, BBC, or ice cream?
I wanted ice cream because of the skateboard tie, but it was just not my style at the time. I don't think I could have pulled it off. Like, I like the all over print.
You could have pulled it off.
Maybe, I don't know.
I will say, where even as a kid, I was just like, this looks cool in magazine spreads, but looks terrible in person, was the all zipped
zipper
up.
Yeah.
That shit looked terrible. Yo, Justin, I know you had some Bape.
No, I had zero Bape.
Are you sure?
I am positive I had zero Bape. Look, most of the people that I hung around with were more into Doom than they were into Clipse at the time. I was the one screaming about this record. I was the one beating the table saying that this is one of the best rap records that has come around in a long time, and they weren't listening to me.
Was there a division in that way back then? Were Clipse accepted by the like quote unquote backpackers?
Not fully, no. Okay. I think it was a little different for me because I was a DJ where a lot of people I hung out with were just like producers and rappers, and they were like, you know, the heads. They were like the real hip hop, you know, and Clipse didn't quite appeal to them. I think like the Neptunes of it all, even though I won't step on anything, but even if like some of the more inventive production that the Neptunes have ever done, that anybody's ever really done in rap music, is happening on really both of those first 2 Clipse records. That didn't matter to them. It was just, you know, I think the feeling was Grindin' was cool. These guys are pretty good at rapping. When's the last time? That was just like a straight up pop song. When's the last time is dope? But like, they did not have that kind of love from the people who consider themselves quote unquote real hip hop heads.
Right.
And that's why, like, you know, we're going to get into it. You're going to talk about like the hipster shit with this record, Charles, I assume. But Pitchfork really like planting their flag for stuff like this and for Cameron and Dipset really kind of changed the conversation around those acts.
All right, are we ready for some
album trivia?
Some album trivia.
Okay. I did step on my third question.
Wow, so I only get 2 at-bats. Audience, should I get a half point?
Oh, you know what? I think I can come up with a third one on the fly.
All
Let's go with the first 2. Question number 1. Pusha T said that Mr. Me Too was originally intended for another artist. This artist didn't show up to the studio, so Push called Pharrell and told him Clipse was stealing the song. Who is the artist that the song was originally intended for?
I don't know this. I know who most of the beats on this album were for, though. Most of the beats on this album were for Jay-Z because he was recording Kingdom Come at the time.
Yeah.
Was Mr. Me Too or was this a different artist?
Different artist.
Fuck, who was the artist?
For a half-point reduction, I'll give you a hint. Do you want a hint?
Yes.
The artist is mentioned on the song, Mr. Me Too.
Fuck, I'm blanking now on the lyrics. The only thing I remember is Gilly the Kid is featured in the video. Who was it?
Puff Daddy.
Yeeks.
Pusha was actually assigned to write the song for Puff, but Puff didn't show up to the studio and then stole the song.
Diddy would have sounded fucking terrible.
But it makes sense now, though,
On this
because
record.
when you hear the line, just last week I was out in Aspen, me and Puff hopping on the plane, both of us laughing, is what Pharrell raps in the opening verse.
I will say the reason why I forgot that they mentioned Puff on this is because, like, as I was prepping for this and I kept listening to it, I had to black out. I was just like, oh, fuck, I'm not talking about Diddy on this episode and all of the monstrous things he is accused of. Like, to be fair, there is a lot of Puff Daddy references throughout Pusha T's career where I'm just like, let me forget about this. Good question, though.
Okay, question number 2. The beat for Wamp Wamp What It Do was originally given to another artist, but this artist lost their hearing. So the beat was passed to the Clipse. However, when the artist's hearing returned, Jay-Z asked for the beat back. That's a little hint. But Clipse had already recorded the song. They didn't give the beat back. Who was the artist that lost their hearing? That this originally was
Jay-Z's
intended
a
for?
hint? Was it another rapper?
Perhaps.
Wild Swing. Beyonce?
Foxy Brown.
Foxy Brown. These are hard. These are very difficult questions.
I don't know. They're out there. Here's a quote from Pusha. He said, quote, Jay-Z supposedly, because this was a little bit of a controversy. There's this Hip Hop DX article is what I found on it, writing about specifically about the controversy of this beat, because I think it got out that it was supposed to be for Foxy Brown via Jay-Z. So Pusha said to Hip Hop DX, Jay-Z supposedly came like, oh, she's back. Let's get the beat back. That's where all the discrepancy came from. With us, it's no controversy. We followed the same protocol we would with any beat. We hear it, we like it, we get it from Pharrell. We didn't go behind anyone's back to get it. And then Malice adds, so Malice, he says, the best thing that came out of all of this was that she got her hearing back. Just so sweet. Like, Malice is such a good guy behind the hard persona. Okay, question number 3 was going to be this. Let's see if you actually remember the guy. On Mr. Me Too, Pharrell has the line, ice cream sneakers, I signed my first skater. What skater was he referring to?
Well, you already said Terry Kennedy. He was the black skater at the time who would go on to launch Dirty Ghetto Kids, right?
No, that was Stevie Williams. DGK. But Terry Kennedy skated for Baker 3 at the time, or Baker.
Wait, was he running around with like Deerdeck and them? Or no, that's the other black guy. Yeah. Am I getting black skaters?
You are.
I'm getting a lot of black skaters confused. There's not that many of them, but my bad.
Yeah. So Terry Kennedy, I don't know. Do you get a point for that? I don't have a third question for you.
Wow, I get no points.
So technically I'm in the lead now.
Oh, Compton Ass Terry. Yes. Yes, Compton Ass Terry. I remember him. Wait. Yeah. Let me see. Whoa. Kennedy appeared on Bam Margera's Viva La Bam and Rob Dyrdek's Fantasy Factory.
Oh, he did? Okay.
I remember this.
Okay.
He also made a camp. Yes, he makes a cameo and Drop It Like It's Hot.
Oh, he does?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Wow. Wow. See,
All right.
I knew. I remembered. Anyway, I should get a half point.
I'll give you a
because
half
stepped
point.
on my third one.
Yeah, I'll give you a half point.
Hell
So
yeah.
I'm in the lead by a half point. Ooh, it's getting close to the finale. Oof.
Come on.
All right.
I know you got. I'm going to stump you next
God,
episode.
shit.
But are we ready? Are we ready to get into?
I'm very curious where you're going. The first one's kind of obvious, but let's get into the categories, starting with biggest song.
Before we get into that, I would just like the floor for a moment.
Okay.
Madvillainy, an album that I love. One of my favorite albums of all time. I listen to it every single year. But we have to talk about the importance of Clipse. This episode is not just about the Thornton brothers. It is about a time in music history that is still reverberating today. It is about fashion. It is about beats. It's about the ecstasy of cocaine and the fall of hubris. As you have seen throughout this season, don't laugh, Cole. Don't laugh. As you've seen in this season of Last Song Standing, a lot of times we tend to lean on history and the type of people who write that history. And we go for the conventional albums, but it's people like the Clipse, artists like the Clipse, who have to get it out of the fucking mud, who we don't respect because they rap about drugs and how great it is to sell them and how great it is to make money and all of this other bullshit. But what we don't appreciate about the Clipse is the lyrical dexterity, the history and the emotion hidden under those layers, and how cool these motherfuckers were. I would argue the Clipse were so cool in this moment that they are the most influential artists of the 21st century.
Whoa.
And I will prove that throughout these categories. They are influential to Wayne, Drake, Kanye and all of good music,
Yeah.
Tyler the Creator. Would you say that those are some of the biggest? I'm not just talking about fashion. I'm talking about lyrically. I'm talking about how we rap. Pusha T's fucking pen has penned some of the biggest. They did the fucking McDonald's jingle. We will. Don't worry. I'm gonna get into.
Okay.
With that, we have to get into the biggest song, and all I have to say. These are the days of our lives, and I'm sorry to the fans, but them crackers weren't playing fair at Jive. That's right. The biggest song is Mr. Me Too featuring Pharrell.
Come on with it. Star Trek. Niggas is haters. I'm doing deals like the majors. Ice cream sneakers, I signed my first skater. You could pay $3 and buy yourself some Babesters. Bulletproof on the t-shirts because they hate us.
First, where do we have to go with this? The history.
Okay.
Now, the myth of this album, the reason why I think outside of just how good the music was, but the fervor was at this time, Push and Malice riding off the momentum of grinding, right? They're like, we want to do our sophomore record. So they start their follow-up recording in 2003. Unfortunately, very quickly, their record label Arista gets dissolved, which moves them to Jive. Meanwhile, Star Trek Entertainment, the home founding of the Neptunes, where a lot of that music comes from, they move from Arista to Interscope. Clipse eventually has to sue Jive to get out of their deal, which brings us to 2006. So Lord Willin drops in 2002.
Yeah.
They're already like, hey, by 2003, 2004, we're recording, we're ready. My biggest moment, we'll talk about what they're doing as they're in their label dramas. But the reason I bring that up is because Mr. Me Too is a statement of purpose of y'all got us fucked up. The industry does not want us to succeed. And the kernel of where this song starts is from the beef with Lil Wayne. In a Complex interview from 2006, I don't see no fucking Clipse. Come on, man. Wheezy, man. They had to do a song with us to get hot, B. What happened to that boy? Who the fuck is Pharrell? Do you really respect him? That nigga wore Bapes and y'all thought he was weird. I wore it and y'all thought it was hot. Come on, man. The nigga walked around with niggas that look like you. Y'all thought he was crazy. If I did it, y'all gonna think these niggas are killers. So,
What year is that? Do you have the year on that quote?
This Complex interview, I think
It was after the
it was
magazine,
2006.
after the magazine cover, right? Because isn't that what prompted they asked him about
Yes.
why, like the Bape controversy and all
Yes,
that?
because also at this time, Wayne is wearing a bunch of Bape. Like one of the times I remember it vividly is the Hustler Music video. And to your point, the Complex cover that he was on was
Or
Bape.
I think it was Vibe. It was Vibe. I think it's
It was Vibe,
Yeah.
and then he does the follow-up in Complex.
Yeah.
And this to me is why Mr. Me Too is one of the most consequential records that dropped in the 21st century, because essentially Mr. Me Too is Pharrell and Clipse being like, hey, yo, y'all stole all of this from us. Why were they beefing? Allegedly. Now, this is allegedly. Ebro from Hot 97 claimed that this all goes back to the Neptunes working with Birdman for What Happened to That Boy, which also features the Clipse. And if we know anything about Birdman and Cash Money, they are known for not paying artists, allegedly. At this point, I think Pusha T, Malice, and Pharrell had enough. I would argue.
Just to make it clear, that allegedly Birdman didn't pay Pharrell for the beat, or
Didn't pay Pharrell for the beat.
Yeah.
And then once Lil Wayne starts coming out in like Bape and BBC and all this shit, I think Ebro had also said that Wayne had reached out to Pharrell for some like BBC and like a hookup in that way. And Pharrell was like, fuck y'all, y'all ain't paying me. And what's so funny about this is you have to remember, like, to us right now, I think we're all like, this all started over who was wearing Bape.
Right.
And to me, that's actually not what this is about. If I'm Pusha T at this moment, I remember when Lil Wayne was coming up, and Lil Wayne was a hot boy. He was running around, but this was when Cash Money was dissolving. And almost overnight, Lil Wayne almost refashions himself as this like dope boy, Carter 2, Carter, like you're getting the way he's starting to rap. Allegedly, Gilly the Kid, Philadelphia rapper, has a popular podcast now, wrote a lot of those raps for him, allegedly. But I think if you're Pusha T, you're like, okay, wait. So y'all don't pay my man. Y'all don't pay the Neptunes for this beat. We collaborated with you on What Happened to That Boy. Now, Lil Wayne is running around calling himself the best rapper alive, essentially copying what me and my brother have already done. This is too much.
Right.
We got to blow this shit up. Am I being too harsh on Wayne potentially cribbing from Pusha T, JS?
So after that, we get the Jules Santana mixtapes with Wayne, and that kind of feels like, I always thought that was like kind of a weird move after that, but it kind of, I see where you're going. I see where you're going with this.
Here's the thing. I'm a Wayne fan. Wayne is one of my favorite rappers. I can understand why the three of them were like, we got to put a stop to this. Now to the music. Starts off with that classic Pharrell 4 count.
So sick.
This beat to me, we're going to take it for granted if you've never listened to this before. When it dropped, it blew my fucking wig off. I thought this was one of the best beats I had ever.
Yeah. So sick. Yeah.
Wait, can we play a little bit?
Yeah.
Can you play me a little bit of like just the beginning and a little bit of Pharrell rapping?
Star Trek. Niggas is haters. I'm doing deals like the majors. Ice cream sneakers, I signed my first skater. So you could pay 3 and buy yourself some Bapesters. Bulletproof on the t-shirts because they hate us.
I remember you telling the story, like hearing Kanye's beat for the first time. I remember hearing a Timbaland beat for the first time, and he's sampling the little baby. And I've never heard anything like this. And like, this was, I remember when this dropped, specifically this song, and just like, it was another one of those, my ears perked. I'm just like, oh.
Tyler has a very funny quote where he says, life for me is before and after I've seen this video in 2006. Nothing compares. When I heard it, I told myself this would be the first song I play in every car I get, and I haven't broken that. Mr. Me Too, what is so interesting about this for me is that what you have to realize about the Neptunes is that at this point, they have ascended. 90% of the fucking radio in the Billboard charts are the fucking Neptunes. Yeah. And the beats that they're making for these other artists are weird. They are a lot. They're super poppy. The Neptunes are one of the greatest producing duos for a reason. But to me, Clipse unlocks something in them where the beats on Hell Hath No Fury not only sound like the Future, but they're almost cartoonish in a way.
Yep.
Where it's like Pusha T has described himself. He likes to rap like he's like a super villain from like he's like a villain from a horror movie.
Yeah.
But the beats on this, when I was going back to, I was just like,
it's the same as the Doom conversation and the Eminem conversation. There's that's what makes them so interesting, because we can imagine this Clipse sound. The Clipse have a sound, right?
Yes.
And it's not the sound that you would expect from two guys rapping like that. And I think that if they're rapping over more traditional beats, there's no way we are heralding. We're not talking about them in this episode today, because it's that dichotomy. It's like there is a quirkiness to the beats, but they're quirky in a way that they're still cool. Like I hear this beat, I'm like, this is just like the coolest thing I've ever heard. This is the soundtrack to the Bape Hoodie. This is part of the reason why the Bape Hoodie is so cool, because you're pairing it with this music.
And what I think is so interesting about this beat is that it's so funny that Jay-Z's making Kingdom Come around this time, because to me, the reason why the Neptunes work so well with Clipse is that Pusha T and Malice can hear something in these beats a lot of times that the other artists can't, where it's like they have a famous story of like the label laughed at them when they first heard Grindin' for the first time. They're just like, what the fuck is this? Because when you just hear the beat for Grindin' without knowing what would come, you're
archaic. Like, there's not much going on, super minimal. And it's like, where's the melody?
If you hear the beat from Mr. Me Too, it sounds cool, but I could see Jay being like, what's the pocket? How do I... Like, what?
It's an underrated thing about Clipse, and specifically Pusha T, because he continued it with his solo career. His beat selection is just like, one, he's pulling from the best producers, of course, but even within, he's picking beats that I feel like no one else would pick, because they are the more abstract ones, and he finds a way to get on all these interesting beats, and he's done it his entire career.
And of course, out of this, you get the Clipse Lil Wayne beef. Then Pusha T takes the beef further with Drake, and then Kendrick.
It all can come back to that vibe.
It all comes back to Mr. Me Too in this moment. But what I actually think is so interesting about Mr. Me Too, and what makes it such an important song to the 21st century, is that what the three of them are saying essentially, and what Pusha T especially has been hammering home throughout this since this has happened, is, hey, yo, we're the source of so much of this shit. And I hate when Wayne, I hate when Drake, I hate when any other person tries to take this shit, take it for credit, like we weren't here. And it's like, when they were talking about this record, it was interesting. Push and Malice were like, us, the Neptunes, we realized that this wasn't going to be a commercial breakthrough moment. Right. We realized that this wasn't going to sell gangbusters. And to me, that gives them the freedom to be super fucking weird. Yeah. It gives them the freedom to be like, hey, we're going to give you these raps, but also we are going to pick the most space-age Jetson beats to rap over. And we're going to prove that, like, we're the only group that can get 100% out of Pharrell and the Neptunes.
Yeah.
And before I get to best song, I will just say, this is my favorite line from all of this was the Malice part, where he goes, want to know the time, better clock us. Niggas about to style from the shoes to the watches. We cloud hoppers, tell us who's like we mobsters, break down keys into dimes, sell them like God stoppers. Woo! What?
My favorite line actually is right after that. He says, who gonna stop us? Not a goddamn one of you. Mean with the Rhea, we street tumblers. That line is like, they have these lines that just like, we street tumblers is 3 words. But what it implies is like a rock tumbler turns rocks into gems. They're street tumblers turning dime bags, the gobstoppers, into jewelry. Like, it's just like the economy of words. And it's just, they have those little moments where it's just like they sum up everything about them in these just like one bar. Like, they have just these perfect bars. And to me, that's one of them. But the whole thing is fucking fire.
It's a phenomenal. It's so funny because, like, you're a little bit older than me, but I'm so glad that both of us can remember, like, Mr. Me Too, and trying to, like, describe to an audience, like, no, when this first dropped, when I saw the video for the first time, me and all my friends were just like, dog, I want to be down with them. Like, I remember my mom just being like, oh, if I can. And to me also, we kind of talked about the fashion, but, like, it's hard to describe. Like, this is before Instagram.
Yeah.
This is before Twitter, Facebook, TikTok. it did feel like a moment where I was like, I remember Mr. Me Too dropping, and then every kid in the suburbs trying to look like this.
Yeah.
Like, you go back, ask any of your friends who are around that time or in their 30s, 40s, like, what happened after this video.
Yeah.
Some of the worst fucking
Fashion,
fashion. Avisu jeans, LRG, Babe, BBC, nasty shit. Like, that shit looks terrible.
Well, the thing too, like the skateboarding element is perfect with this point, because skateboarding traditionally didn't the connection to hip hop wasn't always there. I mean, it was in some you'd get some hip hop songs in skate videos and stuff, but it wasn't, at least in my mind, it wasn't until Pharrell that you really got these worlds coming in together in a way that just never, because finally skateboarders were seen as cool to not the rock, because traditionally skateboarders were kind of punks. You'd associate them with punk rock music or grunge music. But I feel like this was the time where things started to converge and really opened up skateboarding to a whole different kind of demographic.
What's also interesting, I just looked it up because like in my mind, I was like, oh, these two records released very, very close together. So Lupe Fiasco's Kick Push releases April 18th, 2006. Mr. Me Too releases May 23rd, 2006. So it is just kind of this to your point where it's like, up until this point, punk, the anarch experience of that grasped very, very well onto skateboarding. But once Mr. Me Too and Kick Push, this was a time. Like all, especially black kids, like the amount of black kids I saw pick up a skateboard because they finally could connect to it. They're like,
this and Tony Hawk's Pro Skater video game coming out at the same time. Yeah, it's like,
All right, so best song. I'm going to do a little bit of a swerve.
Okay. Don't fucking pick what I think you're going to pick.
I actually, originally, I'm going to say this. I'm not going to pick it. A lot of people like, you would have been crazy if you picked this. Wamp Wamp and the beat for Wamp Wamp. I don't give a fuck with, like, what Cole says. Wamp Wamp is one of the best Neptune's beats.
No hotter, flow dropper, since Papa. You penny any nigga, see I know copper. Left the game on a high note, flow opera. Pusher still got them keys, I can unlock ya. See that watch on the sleeve, call it showstopper. Nigga,
this beat is insane. Like, Justin, can you back me up that Wamp Wamp is a fucking record?
Didn't I just text you this morning, literally, Wamp Wamp, Jesus fucking Christ?
The beat's so sick.
Slim Thug on this shit. You don't like what do you don't like about Wham Wham?
The beat's so sick. I don't. It's
straight to the ball, the post up. Woo! Wham Wham. What it do? What it do?
I don't. It's good actually. I was just giving you kind of giving you
y'all
shit
weren't you weren't outside, Cole. Wham. I remember watching MTV2 just to hear Wham Wham. But I'm
not picking it. Okay.
So
what are you picking instead? This is now
narratively. I wanted, because a couple of the other songs that I'm gonna pick, I could get it to like my favorites.
Okay.
But the best song in terms of just like unlocking, I think, some of the deeper layers of this, because I think if you just listen to this album surface level, you're just like, oh, this is coke raps, this is just like them stunting or whatever.
Right.
But to me, Mama, I'm So Sorry narratively connects Hell Hath No Fury to Lord Willin'.
Yeah.
Skip to my loo if you looking for a couple. Roosters in the duffel. Keep the hood screaming cock-a-doodle-doo fuckers. Coke by the ton, rap niggas, I'm the one. With basic rhyme pattern, how the fuck you trying to chatter? Asic ass rappers got 'em.
What is interesting to me about Mama, I'm Sorry is it's like The Godfather 2. It is like them being like, oh, we don't have to tell you the origin of Clipse anymore.
Oh, right, yeah.
We are telling you what happens when we become the rappers, when we have grinded, when we have the money. And it's so funny. There was, Malice said at one point, yeah, people always ask me, yeah, Malice, was it not all it was cracked up to be? Was the rap world not fun? He's like, whoa, don't hold up. It was fun. All of this was fun. But even in a song like this where they're stunting, you're starting to get glimpses of especially Malice being like, there's lines where he's like, but it's a bigger picture, Holmes, trust. I done seen it from Frankfurt to Cologne, Oslo to Sweden, from Italy's Milan to the shores of Nepali. Now I consider Ferrari and Salvador Dali's. I'm no longer local. My thoughts are global. That's why I seem distant, son. Expand your vision. what I love about that is he's stunting. He's just like, yo, I'm not in Virginia anymore. I've traveled all over the globe. I've gone to Europe. I've gone to all of these places, but he's still locating something that even in the stunting, he's just like, even in the obnoxiousness of this, something's not right. Something's not okay. I left my family. And it wasn't all it was cracked up to be. There's a reason why I'm distant. And that's why I wanted to pick this, because I'm like, you could hear this song just be like, oh, they just rapping, they just stunting. But there's little kernels of like, something is not right.
Even the fourth verse, Malice, is like pretty transparent in everything you're saying. He's, I'm sorry, Grandma, for the mistakes I made when I aired family business, how you put me in my place. Even my baby mama, I can't look you in the face because I can't do enough. You a symbol of God's grace. It's like, you know, that to me foreshadows like even Let God Sort Him Out. Yeah. And songs like Birds Don't Cry, or some of the more emotional songs on the album. And there is, peeking through all this entire album is Malice. You get these one or two lines where you're just like, oh, then in retrospect, you can start to see the splintering.
And it's like when you have to think when they're traveling, when they're seeing the world, where they're connecting with fans, a lot of their friends are getting locked up. There's a lot of, you can go do reporting on like the people in the kind of like the Clipse orbit and them all getting arrested. And to your point, like that last verse is a perfect example as well, where it's like, I don't think that it is, I think it was actually planned on their part in terms of the track listing, where Mama I'm So Sorry tracks on to Young Boy so well in terms of just like narratively where they're at. So I just wanted to, as like a best song, be like, no, this is kind of why I love them, but also I have to shout out my favorite Pusha T lyric.
Okay.
With basic rhyme patterns, how the fuck you trying to chatter? ASIC ass rappers got them running for their life. I philosophize about clocks and keys. Niggas call me young black Socrates. West Indies, bitch dropped in these quick. What?
So good.
Dog, ASIC ass rappers got them running for their life. Like, yo. What? Stop.
So
Stop.
Good. Yeah.
Was there any other songs to you that potentially could have been in? Because the songs that, to me, Wamp Wamp, I was just like, that's too Charles B. I love the singles.
Well, I like the contrast between the two picks. So
I love this isn't.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? I'm not going to step on my own stuff.
Yeah,
I will tell you
cut,
about what ones were in for best deep cut.
Yeah. Okay.
Worst song. This is interesting because I don't think that there are any bad songs on this record.
I shared my worst song with Justin pre-taping, and he thought I was crazy.
I lost my mind when he told me what
was it. Chinese New Year?
No, I love that song.
Trill?
Yeah. Oh no, yeah, Trill. Trill's my worst song.
Justin likes Trill. I don't fuck with Trill, but it's not a bad song.
I would agree with that.
There's no bad songs in it. The song I picked is because I think it is of a time when rappers thought that they needed a girl record.
Oh God, Dirty Money.
Dirty Money.
All my fly bitches lie.
Dirty money, dirty money.
All my stripper bitches lie.
Dirty money, dirty money.
All my college hoes lie.
Dirty money, dirty money.
Don't it spin so right?
Dirty money, dirty money.
Now let's go shopping, let's go chill, let's go buy the new Louis Vuitton heels. Ass in La Perla, ears full of pearls. Damn Dirty Money know how to.
In a record that is so unapologetic about what they're doing, which is like, these are supreme beats from Pharrell and the Neptunes. These are supreme coke raps. We're not giving you none of the fluff. I'm not saying Dirty Money is fluff.
I know what you mean.
But it gets there.
And it is the obligatory like girl song, which in their own way, I can see how they're trying to flip the cliche of it in terms of like.
But what's funny to me is I'm like, as Pusha T especially gets farther into his solo career, completely abandons it. Like he doesn't do shit like this.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I would say the two knocks against Lord Willin and How Have That Fury, they are records of a time where you're like, you can point to at least one or two records on the album, be like, oh,
you're reaching for something there.
You were reaching for something, but also we have to be real. Clipse was working with Justin Timberlake. They were writing the McDonald's jingle.
Right.
They are ghostwriting for a bunch of people. The thing that like I will keep stressing why this album is so important is that, have you ever seen, I got in trouble when I was working at MTV News for this. Have you ever seen the Drake, I think it was like some type of show when I was 16 or some type of shit, where he tells this story. Maybe we could find the video where I posted this on Twitter because I remember seeing it, where Drake was such a big Clipse fan. He bought a mic off eBay that was supposedly signed by Pusha T and Malice.
Yeah.
And I remember I like threw it up on Twitter in the middle of Pusha T and Drake's beef. And I got in trouble. People were like, where'd you find that, Charles? Did you go in the archives? I was like, no, this is like, you can find this. You can find this online. Like this is a very real thing that I remember. Drake was inspired by Pusha T. A lot of people like, what are you talking about? There's nothing. And I was like, no.
I think, I don't know the exact quote, but he was like very in the beginning, like he was like, those are the guys. Like he was like, those are the cream of the crop to me.
There was a reason Kanye, like, why do you think Pusha T signed to Good Music? Like, Kanye was like, Pusha T is my guy. A lot, like, we've seen a lot of the Pusha T reference tracks leak from Kanye.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to know who was behind a lot of them lyrics, it's not hard to find.
The other thing, though, is Drake and Kanye are really fucking dorky guys. And Pusha T is the kind of guy who's so cool that you can just feel cool just by like being in proximity to. Yeah. And I think that was a big thing for both of them. Like even Drake, like just as much as the rapping, I think he was just inspired by like he just wanted to be that cool. And you just if you want that, you can't be, right? You can never be as cool as that.
Yeah.
So it's Dirty Money is the one where I'm just like
acceptable.
Deep Cut.
Not a bad song though.
Deep Cut. Do you know where I'm going with this?
To me, there's one choice, but I don't think you're going to pick it.
You tell me what your choice is.
Ride Around Shining.
What?
Listen to this fucking beat, dude.
I love this beat.
All I want to do is ride around shining while I can afford plenty ice on
That's so good.
Float around in the greatest of Porsches. Feel like a Chuck wagon because I'm on 12 horses.
Right. The beat alone. I know
the beat is good.
The hook, maybe not their strongest hook, but like that beat.
I couldn't pick this one, but it was in the running. I love Hello New World.
Look out, world, I'm on my way.
I listen to the beat and the rhyme is rolled. See, I was 16, eyes full of hope. Bagging up grams at the higher dough. The news called it crack, I called it Diet Coke. At the same time, hiding from mama, dodging the drama. Fucking plenty bitches while ducking a baby mama. I found
Hello New World, low key, very, very just a phenomenal record.
Okay.
Now,
I know where you're going now. Okay.
I didn't pick this, but I want to give an ISO to Justin really quick. One of his favorite songs of all time. Any single time I bring up the Clipse, he's always like Chinese New Year, Chinese New Year.
I said this to Cole earlier, Jesus. I'm from Providence. I said that earlier. I said this to Cole. Whenever Chinese New Year comes on, it does funny things to my brain. Like that beat just rewires my brain chemistry.
It's a phenomenal beat. The rapping on it though.
Yeah, it's so good.
They snap on this.
Yes,
so good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But where I'm going.
I know where you're going. It's a great pick.
Is one of the greatest verses I've ever heard.
keys open doors, keys open doors, keys open doors, keys open doors. Yo, make your skin crawl, press one button, let the wind fall. Who gon' stop us? Fuck the coppers, the mind of a kilo shopper. Seeing my life through the windshields of choppers. I ain't spent one rap dollar in 3 years, holla.
Too, like,
what?
Who puts those sounds together? Every beat, you're just like, okay, there's like
sometimes it sounds like on multiple like, is that a kazoo? Wait, what's that synth? And you're just like, what's interesting about it, we keep using the word sparse, is that because the beats are so fucking wonky, I'm like, if this one wonky part does not work in this beat, this beat it just sounds terrible.
Yeah. It's just like, who puts, I think that's a glockenspiel and then like dark, like fake choir, like ominous, like it's just like every single beat, you're just like, who pairs these sounds together?
Yes.
And then writing as if like they're sampling, they sound like loops, but they're just creating original parts that sound like they sampled them, which like people weren't doing back then, especially not like this. And it's just like,
it makes every single time I listen to this, it makes my skin crawl. You have to think about how mad they were at the industry when you hear, I ain't spend one rap dollar in 3 years.
That line is such a flex.
What?
So
it is
cool.
just like, it punches you in the gut.
when he says, open the Frigidaire 25 to life in here. Okay, for one, rhyming Frigidaire with life in here is like fucking brilliant. But open the fridge 20 to describe the Coke in your fridge as 25 to life in here is just
what?
And then following it up with so much white you might think your holy Christ is near. Like,
throw on your Louis V millionaires to kill a glare. Ice trays nada. All you see is pigeons paired. But also here, do you understand how royalty check nigga I never been, coke money clean through Merrill Lynch, accountant just gasp at the smell of it, meet the dealer, ain't a bitch realer, so you ain't got a question why I push it, don't feel ya, knock it the fuck off. This is why Pusha T's in my top 5. Like, this is such a like, Pusha T has been like, I wrote in my notes, this is the song that set Malice to church. He was like, this is not sanctified. He was just like, nah, my brother is fucking the devil incarnate. I need to get away from you, Push. Like, this is the type of shit when you listen to it, like, I run up the wall. Yeah. I love this song.
When they want to be, they're so vicious too. That's like when every time there's like there aside from Dirty Money, there's not a lot of talk of like women, but every time they degrade women, it like pains my soul because they're so good about being vicious and like, belittling people when they do it. I'm just like, oh, that hurts, but it's so good.
And I think the thing that when I was talking earlier about celebrating this moment, because a lot of people might see this pairing and might be like, wait, why are you pairing Hell Hath No Fury against Madvillainy? I think that this is such an important time for rap. I want to look at the 2006 rap albums that are coming out. We have Hip Hop Is Dead by Nas, King by T.I., Food and Liquor by Lupe Fiasco, Kingdom Come by Jay-Z, and then the Blue Carpet Treatment, Snoop Dogg. A bunch of others, but what I will say is a couple of these rappers are getting long in the tooth. This is also the year of Idlewild, Ludacris's Release Therapy, Kingdom Come, the less we say about that, the better. Hip Hop Is Dead is an album that I think was very much celebrated in the time, but I don't know if it's aged the best. And the reason I bring up all of that is I remember in 2006, even me kind of feeling like, wait, what is hip hop? Like where is it going? It kind of, when Kingdom Come came out, I was just like, this is Jay-Z? This is like the Hope we're getting? Right. Like Nas is like, hip hop is, how could you? And obviously with T.I.'s King, that to me is like, what you know about that is fucking monumental, but they're around that time, the South is coming up and people are starting to feel like New York as the mecca of hip hop is slowly starting to recede. And I think Clipse is such a perfect group to distill even within that chaos. Most of the records I named are not anywhere close to those rappers' best. And Hell Hath No Fury to me was a moment where people were like, we can still do this. Right. We can still rap about the same things. It's just going to take elite rhyming, and it's going to take production that is going to be kind of like 1, 2, 3 steps above what y'all think it needs to be. Yeah. You know? And I just, sorry, like when I talk about music that I love this album. I love Keys Open Doors. And that leads into my biggest moment. Now, I will be real. This biggest moment was a little bit above me in terms of age, but I remember it happening. I remember listening to the mixtapes. And it was interesting when Malice was talking about this run. Somebody asked him about the We Got It for Cheap series. This was something that they had to do out of necessity, where
the mixtape run,
where they have to. What's funny about this is we have a celebrated Clipse album where Pusha T essentially has to buy himself out of the Def Jam deal to work with Roc Nation. And we have the same thing with Jive. And what I love about the mixtape run was it proves to you that real art rises to the top in the same way that when Doom loses his brother and he's adrift at sea, he goes back to the basics, the foundation, and he's like, y'all can't stop me. Some people are born to do this, and Clipse are born to do this. Where it's like at that point, Malice had said in recent interviews for their new album, I was like, fuck mixtapes. We're album artists. You have to think At this point, you work so you don't have to do the mixtapes. You're like, mixtapes are something where you are like, I want to get on a Clue mixtape. I want to do this. I want to do that. That's to get your foot through the door and shit, get your shit off. But once you're a major label rapper, you're like, Hove ain't dropping mix. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And for Clipse to be like, nah, for them to see the vision where this is still early in the game. Of course, you have Gucci and you're going to have Wayne and you're going to have all these things. But for a group like Clipse to be like, we're going to take the Clipse, we're going to take the Re-Up Gang, and we're going to get out of the mud. We are going to take these beats and we are going to show you that we can out-rap you. That to me is one of the most influential, not only mixtape runs, but influential choices that they make. Because when you get to my level, like when you get to when I become like a super fan of hip hop, that becomes the blueprint. Wale, Kid Cudi, Currency, obviously all of these people, but like I'm talking about the people who come after the like the Waynes and the Guccis and the Clipse. They're like the only way for me to break through
Mixtape,
is mixtapes.
Yeah.
Like I'm talking about Nah Right, I'm talking about Two Dope Boys, you know, infecting my parents' computer, downloading all this shit.
Yeah.
Clipse and the way that the industry not only treated them at this moment, but has treated them historically. They've always proven that real music will triumph. There is a reason why their new album is one of the few rap albums from this year that is sticking.
Yeah.
And you have to think how long it took them to get that out. All of this music was old. They should have released this like what, a year, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
To me, I'm just like that is what hip hop is. You cannot stop Pusha T and Malice from rapping. When you listen to, especially We Got It Cheap, Volume 2, dog, they sound pissed. They sound like how dare y'all stop us?
SL be the coupe, roof off the drop, neck out the top, look at me, Jack in the box. You acting a lot, you ain't big, you ain't pocket, we only respect J Prince for rapping a lot. Your reign on the top, never quote him, I ain't know him. If you ain't kissed his mama, how the fuck you ride for him?
But Justin, can you kind of like, because you were a little bit, I think I was still in middle school when this is dropping. Can you kind of like paint the picture of just like how important this was, just not for Clipse, but almost kind of like calcifying them in the hipster kind of firmament?
Similar to 50, they were doing it out of a place of necessity as much as anything, right? Because they were in a situation where they were getting jerked around by their label, right? And they needed to do this. And the music on it was so good that it became undeniable. And it went from these guys who had made Grindin', and they made a pretty good record. And, you know, When's the Last Time kind of blew up a little. But, like, you know, there were a lot of rappers around that time. Like, Fabulous is on Lord Willin'. Fabulous was a much bigger rapper. I think if you had guessed in 2002 who was going to be the artist with more lasting potential, you would have picked Fabulous over the Clipse.
Never.
But then they go.
You are right, but never. I was never into Fab.
Well, but like in 2001, 2002, that's not an insane thing to say.
No, Fab was the one where people were like, yo, he's the next Hove. I'm like, all right, fucking relax.
he was fine. I think history is history on a long enough timeline puts everyone where they should be, I think. And I think where Fabulous is where he should be. And the Clipse are where they should be. You just wouldn't have guessed it at that time. This run is really what solidifies it. And this is the run that gets them getting that attention from Pitchfork, getting the attention from people who may not have been listening to Grindin' in the moment, may have not been that, you know, they might not have bumped Lord Willin' like that. It really changed things for them.
And I also think the last thing before we kind of like pit these both albums together is I got into music journalism with a chip on my shoulder because I was like, it took white publications and white critics to get a record like this, and records from Cam and Dipset and all of these people, Wayne, the prestige that they deserved. Because I think what was happening is that I remember like my grandfather got me a subscription to like Rolling Stone at a point when like Rolling Stone wasn't whatever, but I was like, it was one of my first music magazines. And I remember having this conscious feeling of, I'm like, wait, why aren't there any black critics in these magazines? Why aren't there any black critics on these blogs reviewing this music? It's 9 times out of 10, it would be a white critic or a white journalist, sometimes feeling like they were going on a safari and then being surprised at the depth of this music because it's not places that they're coming from, where it's just like, I think the thing that Pusha T and Malice have been so good at reclaiming over the years is like, no. Our music was always deep. Our music was always technically proficient. We were always great rappers. It took a while for y'all to catch on. And I think that that's a battle that we're still facing, where it was just like when I was coming up during the Future run and the Thug run and the Migos run and everything, Migos better than the Beatles was a joke. It was always a trollish joke. But I think it was always born from a place of, whoa. How come we can only talk about Migos or Thug in ways that's not honoring that what they're doing is so influential and is so above its time? And like literally went a couple years later, if a Billie Eilish cribs from it or an Ariana Grande, now it's genius. But when they're doing it because they're coming from the trap or because they're coming from like the Virginia hood or whatever, it's less. And I think that this to me was an eye-opening moment of like me being like, no, street rap, coke rap, all of this is just as important as an Illmatic. It's just as important as a this or that. It's just sometimes it takes people, especially like black critics, being like, hey, yo, we don't need the white cosign. It's cool. But Clipse was always cool to me. Like Clipse was always ahead of its time. It is always like a foundational record for me. And I just had to get that shit off because sometimes I'm like, I get it. Like we get all the like perfect scores, but I'm like, it shouldn't have had to take white publications for most people to take Clipse seriously, you know?
Beautiful. I'm dreading this head-to-head.
We gotta go to the head-to-head.
He's realizing it now. We said beforehand, it's like you gotta win the rounds.
All right, now it's time to put Hell Hath No Fury against Madvillainy in a head-to-head. Remember the goal of this season to crown the best album of the 21st century so far. Right now, Charles and I must decide which of these two albums advances into the season finale Royal Rumble. To do this, we're pitting the 5 categories head-to-head against each other. 1 point will be awarded for each category win, and the most total points win. Biggest song versus biggest song. If we're going by the criteria of what was the bigger song, we have Mr. Me Too versus All Caps.
Yes.
Is this a debate? Or was...
So this is what
hard
it makes
because like in the moment, I think Mr. Me Too was the biggest song.
In the moment, it peaked at
now?
65 on the US Hot R&B hip hop songs. It has a lot of streams. The music video was iconic.
Yep.
Now, this is where it gets tricky.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we've been fudging this. Where it's like, usually it was easier where we could go by sales. We can't really go by sales because I usually for this, I go on RAA and I was just like, I was actually surprised. Like Doom and Clipse don't have that many plaques.
Oh yeah.
All Caps, I want to say is probably bigger.
Now.
Mr. Me Too was bigger then. I think the argument that I could make is that Mr. Me Too is a more seismic record, and it is just like not like us, Mr. Me Too. The entire beef, Mr. Me Too. The entire story of Adidon, Mr. Me Too. All the Kanye Drake, Mr. Me Too. Like there's a level of it just like it is the one domino that like fell over in 2006 where I'm just like.
Yeah,
literally waking up and having to be like, oh, Drake is still with the lawsuit. Thanks, Clipse. Thanks, Mr. Me Too. Like, now, as a hip hop head, All Caps is just such a fucking foundational record.
I will just say, streams wise, it's kind of crazy. Mr. Me Too, and this is not, of course, a perfect metric, but Mr. Me Too, 16 million streams. All Caps, 214 million streams.
But what I will say, and I want to be fair, a lot of that bump might be the nostalgia of it's a great song.
I know what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? Where we lost Doom, and I do think that he was already Madvillainy was already gaining in esteem over the years in terms of what we were talking about, like year over year streams increasing. I think the death was just like in the same way with Mac Miller, where I was just like, whoosh.
Yeah, right.
I
don't know
will
if that accounts
concede though
for 200 million streams though.
It's All Caps.
And not saying that streams is a perfect metric, but it's
people are gonna get mad at me. I think I would. I'd still listen to Mr. Me Too though. Like
it's a weird one because it was clearly Mr. Me Too in the moment, but
But
if we're looking back on the 21st century,
but I can make the argument as well if we're looking back at the 20 like
Justin, what do you
Tyler
think?
the Creator is like, if Mr. Me Too doesn't drop, like Tyler the Creator, Odd Future are not here. They're just like, they're just not.
Yeah, it's a hard one though. Usually this is the obvious category.
I love them both. This is like picking between my children, actually.
Not which song had the bigger impact. Which song itself do you think has the most footprint right now?
If you played the two back to back, what song's getting more excitement? I think it's all caps. Now.
I actually don't know. I think of a DJ, like I think a lot of the heads would be like, yeah, but if Mr. Me Too drops, I think people would riot. I think people would riot.
I don't know. Feels like
let's come back to this.
Yeah, let's come back.
Let's come back to this. I think best song is easy. I like Mama, I'm So Sorry.
Meat Grinder is one of the best.
But Meat Grinder is just a foundational record.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that I didn't argue more, but it just I can't.
Worst song, I'll just give you the point. We don't need to debate.
We don't need to debate.
Wild Child, sorry.
Now this is where it gets interesting.
Yeah.
Wait, actually, before we're gonna instead of doing best deep cut, we got biggest song still that we have to come back to.
Okay.
We have best deep cut. Before that,
best moment
seems easy. I think it is the mixtape run.
Like, yeah, I mean, I didn't really have a best moment to pull from. So I guess you win by technicality. Justin, do I need to be putting up more of a fight with this one?
No.
Yeah.
This is a clear win on Charles.
Yeah.
For this one.
The mixtape run is actually I think just
it's mixtape run. It's the
BBC.
Yeah,
it is the ice cream. It's the skateboard. It's everything. Like to me, I thought it would be cheating to encompass that, but the world that they built around this album,
yeah,
it's really hard to kind of,
and them getting out of their deal, coming like finally resolving that off the back of that mixtape run. I'll give you that. So we have Meat Grinder for Doom.
Yep.
Point for Clipse on Wild Child. Point for Clipse on Best Moment. So Clipse is up 2-1.
All right, best deep cut. Let's go.
Figaro
Let's go.
Versus what'd you pick for beat? Oh, Keys Open Doors.
Yo, it's Keys Open Doors, bro.
It's really not though. Figaro.
It's Keys.
Who's rapping better? Who's rapping better?
Pusha T. Pusha T.
Really? Are we gonna do this? We're gonna do this?
Yeah. And I love Figaro. I do. But Keys Open Doors is a spiritual experience. It is a spiritual, like it is like I get it. We love Doom. Doom's a legend. And I get a lot of backpackers to be like, fuck you, Charles, But when we're talking about just uncut crack, just the
If you were supposedly to win this, it solidifies Clipse winning this.
What did I say when I was on the last Clipse episode? Clipse is my favorite hip hop group of all time. I listen to them the most. Pusha T is a top 5 rapper to me.
What's the better album though? Maybe we just need to get out of the category.
We're not doing this. We're not doing this. We're not doing this. This is about winning. This is about winning.
No, we can.
This is about winning.
Because listeners could point to the fact that we're using these categories black and white to determine the winner when maybe there should be more to it than just 5 categories, one to one.
But it seems it seems an interesting thing has been happening this season. Where technically I'll be winning the categories.
Just because you're louder.
Whoa, what? No, because I'm playing the game the way it was designed. I am playing the game like that's the ringer in me. Like, come on, bro. I could have picked Keys Open Doors for the best song. I'll put it on deep cut because I knew you couldn't beat it. I knew you could. I was like, there was no way I'm winning that song. I knew that. I was like, I could win this though.
Okay.
Now I can make you a deal, a gentleman's agreement.
Okay.
Because it's clear that Clipse is going to win, even if I love Madvillainy.
This is an error in our system.
Do you?
Because Madvillainy is just the clear winner. It just is. It really.
Were you not the person when we were going back and forth on what albums could go toe to toe? You came into the group chat. You like, yo, have we thought of the Clipse? So don't be fronting like you wasn't like, hey, yo,
yeah,
it might have a chance.
It's an interesting conversation, but Madvillainy.
Oh, so you set me up for an interesting conversation, but I could never win. Oh, that's how we do it. Hey, yo, Dissect listeners, you hear it, man? You hear it, man? This is how we be acting.
It's about picking the right album.
And it's funny.
It's not about winning.
It's funny how I originally had Madvillainy, and then you had Madvillainy, and now I had a Clipse, and now I gotta just lose on a technical. Oh, all right, word.
You were gonna pick 50. You were gonna go to bat for 50.
Well, no. We had an argument where I was just like, wait, I want Madvillainy. You're like, I want Madvillainy. I'm like, I don't want 50. And that's why we had to just Clipse. Don't do that. Don't do, because here's the thing. Next episode,
and you
big mad because I got the next one. We was like, this one's mine. I'll make you a deal. Because you know I won. Because we could go. Technically, Justin.
All Caps is a bigger song. So give me All Caps and we're at a tie.
What I will say, we have some recorded videos, but before we play them for who won last, we have Kid A.
We're going to Discovery.
We have Hell Had No Fury, and we have Madvillainy.
Okay?
If I give you Madvillainy, I want Discovery. If like that's fair. Like I can't. No. Like we can't keep doing this.
This is interesting.
Because I love Madvillainy. Because I would be happy if Madvillainy makes it. Because I could like Madvillainy's like damn near perfect. But I'd be just as happy to have the Clipse. Just for my Clipsters get one on the board. But pick.
This is interesting. Okay, so just to make this clear for the listeners, because maybe it's not clear for them. We have a tiebreaker to do at the end of this episode between our draw between Discovery and Kid A, which we couldn't decide last episode. We had our friends at the Ringer, a couple of friends at the Ringer, record a video that we're going to react to that we don't know the results.
Rock critics.
That we don't know the results to. They're going to determine the winner by their votes.
I also love Kid A. Don't kill me. Like, I love Kid A. These are albums we love. All right. But
now you are saying that if I concede Kid A to Discovery, that you'll concede Clipse to Madvillainy.
That would be
That's the exchange?
That would be a fair exchange.
Is this a fair bargain, Justin? Is this breaking the rules, or can we do this? Is this fair?
We make the rules.
Well, he's our referee.
All right.
So let me get this clear. If this, I don't know if we want to call it a plea deal. I don't know if we want to call it a out-of-court settlement.
This is an out-of-court settlement.
Okay.
For our friendship.
Okay. So what would happen is Madvillainy advances and Discovery advances.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right now.
Yeah.
Cole, you might want to take this deal.
If I take the deal, can we still? I want to see what they voted for.
No. We're still gonna play. We still gonna play it. But if you take the deal, it's like you take the deal, and then we reveal if you would have won.
This is a fucking devil's bargain, dude. This is a Pusha T bargain because Kid A is my favorite album of all time. However, fucking Daft Punk is literally Discovery is right there. And
I will say,
if it was any other album but Discovery, I would be vouching for Kid A more. Now I'm trying to think, does Kid A really have a shot against you in the finale? Probably not.
You can redact this, but we already know what's coming. Please redact like a beep. Can go against and a bunch of the I don't know if it can.
I think personally it can.
No, I think personally it can.
But if we're staying true to our premise of hip hop and its importance to the 21st century, I don't know if we can pick Kid A in the finale. So part of me is like, is this the better thing? Because I just feel like if we don't pick Madvillainy, there will be a boycott. People will stop listening to the show.
They will. But also what I will say, depending upon what Kendrick album we pick, Madvillainy can go. I'm not saying it will win, but Madvillainy is an interesting conversation.
It really is.
Madvillainy is an interesting conversation on a couple albums where I'm like,
so.
ooh.
Okay. You got me, Charles. I'm going to do it. I'm going to take the plea deal. I'm sorry,
The fucking
Radiohead.
Madvillainy himself.
All right.
And I will just say, shout out Justin. When I got hell out of here, he's like, bro, this going like we was just like, cause I love it, but I was like, bro, I gotta play the rule. Like I gotta get on the muscle now. I was like, all right, if I put this song here, if I put this moment here, I think I see it.
And you came extra hard with the energy, dude. Sometimes, like, I'm a very mellow person, and then when people act this way, I'm just I shut down. So I'm just
No, but here's the thing: what people don't realize about you, you do that, but behind the scenes, you're like, all right. Well, Charles, I'm gonna pick this album. Why don't you do this album? And I'm like, this man set me up. This man set me the fuck up, bro. And I was tired of it.
I gotta use my wit. I don't have
because here's the thing.
Use the theatrics.
I love My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy too, but you're like, I can't talk about a Drake. I was like, we have to have Drake on it. I knew My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy was gonna lose. Was gonna win. Yeah. I knew it. So to everybody out there, I've been taking the L's because I'm just like, all right.
We'll wait till next episode. Okay.
Next episode?
Yeah.
Man, your album has no chance.
Okay.
Your album has no chance.
All right, let's official. I'm sighing a sigh of relief. We are picking the right album, Madvillainy, Madlib and Doom. You're so happy. But I have now conceded Kid A to Discovery.
This is good podcasting. This is good podcasting.
You got me, Charles. You did. You got me.
But
let's honor what we were going to do, because we have
two esteemed colleagues.
Rob Harvilla, host of 60 Songs That Explain the 90s.
And Yasi from Bandsplain.
Yasi Salek from Bandsplain. Both recorded little videos casting their vote. If they tie, if they both pick Kid A or both pick Discovery, Justin did write down his pick on a piece of paper that he will reveal. We can see that there. What his pick was going to be if there was a tiebreaker.
I can't.
So let's start with Rob. We're gonna react to the video. We'll put it on the screen. But here we go.
I'm picking Daft Punk. I'm picking Discovery. I'm tired of talking about Radiohead. Tired of thinking about Radiohead. I'm tired of listening to Radiohead, if you want the truth. And Kid A is like my 4th, 5th, or 6th favorite Radiohead album at this point. Whereas Discovery has Digital Love on it, and is arguably the most influential pop album of the last 20 years. And it's not Daft Punk's fault if that influence extends to like LMFAO. I'd rather listen to LMFAO than Radiohead at this point. Honestly, it's Daft Punk. Good luck to you, and reach out anytime.
Thank you so much, Rob. You are not only one of the hardest working critics in the world and at The Ringer, you are a devoted father. And I've never disagreed with you, and you've always been right. So thank you, Rob, so much for taking out your time. Now can we go to Yasi?
Probably to nobody on this earth's surprise, I'm casting my vote for Kid A, babe. I think Kid A was a revolution. I think the unprecedented just jump from like a completely successful album like OK Computer and making such a left turn into this sort of alienating but ultimately like incredibly impactful and inspirational and influential thing that was Kid A is phenomenal. I also think it was one of the first albums that people largely experienced via the internet, if you can believe it.
Well, thank you for Yasi, also one of the working hardest critics and people at The Ringer. You're wrong, but also thank you for taking out the time.
Yasi gets it.
It's a split decision.
Well, now Justin,
can you reveal live? I don't actually know what Justin's going to pick.
I know what he's going to pick.
Guys, I got to be real. This is not Justin Sayles' song standing. And we keep running into this. And Cole, I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
But
so I took the deal.
You took the deal.
It was actually very smart of you to take the deal.
I told you to take the deal.
Yeah.
I've been texting with a bunch of critics over here too, and it was just they said Figaro over Keys Open Doors.
Yeah.
But they were adamant in Mr. Me Too over all caps.
Okay.
So you could have walked away with nothing because I'm done with having to make these decisions.
Justin did call me. He's just like, you guys can't throw to me anymore. Just don't do it. You're like, you guys need to fucking pick. But I will say, this worked out exactly how I planned. This is my super villain plan, if I'm going to be honest with you, right? Because I was like, damn, there's a really big chance I'm going to lose the discovery. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, like, I kid you not, last night I was like, if I can make Hell Hath No Fury win, even though I want Madvillainy to win, I can strike a deal with him. Because I was just like, if Discovery and Madvillainy go, I win both. If Kid A and Madvillainy, I'm walking out here like, dog, what the fuck have we been doing?
Well, all things considered, I think this is an acceptable choice. I would have liked to see Kid A. I think there might be some pushback from listeners that Kid A didn't advance, but if that's the case though, like maybe just go listen to Discovery again, because I thought Kid A was just going to swamp Discovery until I just sank back into that world. And that it's a fucking phenomenal album. And if our decision on this little show could cast some love and get more people to return to Discovery because it advances over Kid A, beautiful.
And
so
I also do want to be real to the listeners. When we're getting very excited, I'm not calling any of these albums bad. Like, it's like I'm trying to win a conversation. I'm just like, we're talking about like 100s out of 100s. This is just like comparing like apples. I'm just like, guys, I like to win. But wow, woo! Look at us. Look at us, Cole.
Very smart for Charles.
We are back. First, is this the most contentious season we've had of the show? Where we didn't even get to cultural exchange because we couldn't agree.
Oh yeah, last episode, yeah, we didn't have cultural exchange. I had to go take my daughter to gymnastics practice. Yeah, last episode, definitely. Beyonce Blueprint, definitely. I can't really, it's a different exercise because we're putting the albums together, two albums that we both love to, head to head, where songs are a little bit less. I mean, these are albums and this is a bigger conversation. So It's been fun though. It's challenging me. I'm not a natural debater. I'm not naturally loud, and everything I'm not, you are. And so like, I'm really trying my best.
Here's the thing. I love it as a listener, but you pull out, you're like, all right, I'm about to break down how dope this fucking, I'm like, all right, I gotta start yelling if I'm gonna win this shit, bro. Like, I'm just like, I gotta. But for cultural exchange, we traded two albums that we both love.
Yeah.
You gave me Killer's Hot Fuss. I gave you Strokes Is This It? And I will start off because I've given you this hot take and you told me that you have an opinion that I've been waiting literally like a week to hear.
Okay.
Where I remember buying Hot Fuss. I love this album. People are like, why is the Killers in this shit? Blah, 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 blah. No, y'all listen to their debut album.
So good.
Crack.
So good.
But the thing that has always been lobbed against this album, and the feeling that I had when I was a kid and even when I return to it now, is half this album is some of the best recorded music that's ever been recorded, and the other half just cannot live up to it. Not bad, but it is almost like they run out of gas halfway through, and they are like doing their best to like try to get it back.
Yeah.
So the feeling I had re-listening now was I was like, oh, this is still true, but my love for these songs increased because I was like, I think the Killers kind of got uncool for a while.
Yeah.
And now I just going back to them, I was just like, oh man, this is a phenomenal record.
Yeah, they got, because they were, what happened with a counterpart to the Strokes. Strokes were so effortlessly cool, uneffortlessly cool in terms of like their image, which was crafted, but it gave off like, we're not trying, and that's what makes us cool.
Yep.
Where Killers, like they were glam, and they unabashed glam. They wanted to be rock stars. They had the bright lights. They're from Vegas. And so in an era where we're talking about the Neptunes, we're talking about the Strokes being the epitome of cool, American Apparel, Bape, all this stuff, like the Killers trying to harken back to kind of this mix of glam rock from the 70s mixed with the electro of the 80s, mixed with like Americana of like Bruce Springsteen. Just, yeah, they kind of got branded as corny during this time. But the first 5-6 songs on this album are just some of the best songs of the 21st century. I mean, like So my hot take is that one, the second half isn't as bad. So what I did was I started the album at the second half. So I didn't listen to the first 5 songs. Oh. And you realize actually what I think more than bad songs is a bad sequencing of this album. They front-loaded it way too much, which I get doing on a debut album. But if they would have just saved some of these songs and just interspersed some of the hits into like just a few little tweaks, I think we would be talking about this album a little bit more fondly in terms of like, yeah, because every time you bring this album back up, it is the asterisk to the album where it's like, Mr. Brightside, Smile Like You Mean It, Somebody Told Me, all these things are just phenomenal. But if they had just moved 2 of those songs a little bit lower, because you get it back with like Change My Mind, I think is a great song. Believe Me Natalie is like it really kind of starts to fall off, but Everything Will Be All Right is a perfectly fine ballad closer. Andy You're a Star is not that bad. It's a sequencing problem more than it is these are bad songs.
So you have a sequence that you think would have worked. Like, do you have your perfect sequence for this album?
I didn't do that, but I think On Top, I think it's the run of On Top of Andy You're a Star, On Top, Change Your Mind, and then when you get to Believe Me Natalie, you're just like, what happened? So if you can just simply take either All These Things That I've Done, or even like maybe not Somebody Told Me, but just I mean, the epic song that is All These Things That I've Done doesn't need to be the 5th song on this album after all those songs. You could sequence that after On Top, then go into Change Your Mind, and I think it fixes so much. So, but when you return, do you listen to this album regularly aside from this, just hearing the singles everywhere still?
I love this album as a kid, and because of the corniness, that's what we're talking about. I had internalized that this is a corny record. Right. You just liked it because you were a kid. And then I went back to it. I was like, no. You actually had pretty good taste as a because like what's funny is like I would listen to the Strokes and then I would listen to the Killers. Like they were a part of like it was like Strokes, Arctic Monkeys, Killers, Black Keyscapes. That like I was listening to all the fucking then I was listening to a bunch of fucking bands that were like, do you remember the Black Kids?
Yep. Oh yeah.
There was the Black Kids, there was the Virgins, Stevie on the Radio. I tried to get into that was a little bit more difficult. Right. Grizzly Bear. I listened to all the fucking shit. You want to know what Killer song is? One of my favorites though, and I just want to sing it.
Yeah.
Are we human? Are we dancing? Sometimes vital.
That album is great. I think that's a better album start to finish. Doesn't have the highs of Hot Fuss, but
I'm so glad you gave me this. This is a great pick. But Strokes.
Well, and I'll just say the last thing I'll say about the Killers is that in this conversation of like 21st century music, I think it's important that we acknowledge the electronic influence of this album in terms of like this is the time that rock musicians, especially of this kind of trying to do the glam rock thing, are incorporating synthesizers and electronic music and trying to tap into the Daft Punk electro kind of wave that was happening in the early 2000s. And I think that when we're going to talk about the Strokes, which is a little more traditional rock in terms of instrumentation, it's important to acknowledge that we see the influence that we've been talking about all season in an album like this, infiltrating rock music, where like the turn of the century was like, where does rock music go? We have Kid A to point to about pointing certain places, but we also have a Hot Fuss where we see rock bands, traditional rock bands starting to incorporate electronics, which would only grow more intense as the century goes on. Strokes.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
In the moment, I was not the biggest Strokes fan. And this is more me being pretentious in terms of like all they're doing is downstrumming on the guitar and like
that was the big thing. Like because I was like deep into like I was reading everything, and the knock against the Strokes is just like my brother was learning how to like play the drums, and his drum teacher would like always laugh because he would want to learn Strokes. He's like, this drumming's not like it's not this isn't hard, it's not complicated. Yeah. But that's actually why I always tell people I like this album, because this was a on-ramp for my parents listening to rock music, but me having a band that I was just like, this is so simple, I get it. And then that was me listening to like going to the Velvet Underground. It's just like it was like this is a perfect album to me. But to me, this is a nice entree album where you're like, if you look at what influenced them, then you could be like, oh, I can go back to the other things they're pulling from.
Yeah. And on re-listen, I think all that I just didn't appreciate what they were doing. Because when you make music this good, no matter the techniques you're using or how musical it is in terms of technically being, something proficient or brilliant, like when you make songs that are this good, you're doing the most important thing right, which is making good songs, great melodies, things that are memorable, things that move you. So it doesn't really matter how you get there. I think I was just being pretentious at the time. But returning to it, it's like, I see why it works. I kind of regret not being into them because I feel like I missed out on, of course I knew of them, but I wasn't super into them. And I feel like I should have been,
I mean, it's one of those things as well, where I think what they did so well on this album, especially, is that at a time in music where I think things were getting so complex and things were getting so weird, like if you take think about what Radiohead is doing. It's a lot. It's virtuosic. They're like, actually, we're going to go back to kind of like some of the foundations of rock and roll, where there's a bunch of cool white boys who barely know how to, like, they knew how to play barely know how to play their instruments, And it's like Julian Casablancas is just like, no, he can say, like, he's struggling a little bit. And like that opened my mind to being like, oh no, that's what's beautiful about rock, is like sometimes the best rock bands are not the best musicians. They're the best at being like, no, but when we're all together, there's something, like there's an alchemy that's just like,
well, sometimes it's just taste, and it's just the same way, like what makes Kanye great, or any of these producers great. It's usually, I mean, maybe Daft Punk case, it's both, but usually it's not they are technically the best. Yeah. It is, they have style, they have taste, they could curate sounds. And the Strokes were that. They were just like, whether they could play the instruments well or not is kind of secondary to them just like knowing how to write a catchy guitar riff. That's the most important thing, not if it's wowing you, right? And
I will say on subsequent records, because I've been a Strokes fan for a long time, they get to the point where they're like, we're actually going to show you that we actually know how to play our instruments. Like, this isn't funny anymore. Yeah. They get like a lot of their users like, oh shit, this is like they are a rock band. But to your point, they knew what they were doing. Like they knew what they were doing. Yeah. But now, for this cultural exchange that we have coming up,
where are you going?
Part of me, I had an album that I wanted to give you that's from my heart.
Okay.
But I have an album that I think makes more thematic sense for our next episode.
Okay.
Maybe Justin can help me out. Part of me is just like, should I give you D'Angelo's Voodoo? Which
this is, I was going to pick it for both of us. I was going to kind of pick it for myself because D'Angelo's Voodoo is an album that a lot of people would say deserves to be in this conversation that we're having this season, that I'm not totally familiar with, admittedly. Like,
so this is an album to me where it's like, it's not an album that I go to, but it is a project that is woven into my life in terms of just like, this is what my parents were listening to when I was in the car. We're listening to R&B. We're listening to like, I think the channel was like Kiss FM out of New York, like Hot 97, Power 105. Like this is an album where it's like, I don't listen to it because I'm just like, this was like kind of like my parents' music, my like older cousins. It is just like, I wanted to pick it because I'm just like, oh, with the R&B episode that we're about to have, I was like, damn, it would be such a fucking drag if we didn't give D'Angelo just kind of like the love that he rightfully deserves.
Yeah, and I would be, of course I know some of these songs, but it's like, R&B is not a genre of music that I'm personally seeking out a lot. And so I understand the importance of this album, but I would love to like talk about it in this exercise and, give myself an assignment. So we're on the same page. Let's do it.
All right. So
cultural exchange will just be
let's just do Voodoo. One album. We'll just have like a nice like chat about it. Because I literally was going to give it to you because I'm just like, no. This is a perfect pairing. But I also just kind of want to listen to this.
And then also teases next episode. A little R&B.
Hell yeah. Thanks, guys.